Joe Rogan Podcast. Check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
Oprah's doing an episode on psychedelics.
God bless.
How about that?
God bless.
I mean, she's definitely done it.
Yeah, you don't do a fucking... Are we rolling yet? Are we rolling? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, you don't do an episode on psychedelics unless you fucking visited the
Unless
Maya.
you dabbled.
Unless you got in there.
You think it's ayahuasca or mushrooms?
Most of those fancy people like to do the ayahuasca.
Yeah.
You know, because then you can claim spirituality above all other people.
Oh, you
I've
think
done
there's
it.
like a pretentiousness?
Oh, 100%. There's a... I've done it. I've experienced the Mother God.
Yeah.
The God.
Yeah.
I've experienced Gaia.
Yeah.
It's like I think people really do experience that, but also there's a certain type of personality that wants to let you know that they're enlightened.
Yeah.
They're further down the road than you, Andrew.
Yeah.
And like one way to get like instant street cred in the psychedelics world is to say you do ayahuasca.
Yeah.
You know, if you do mushrooms, you might just be some asshole at a party.
Yeah.
You know, you and your friends are just fucking giggling nonstop on the couch. It could be that.
There's no points in mushrooms.
Right. You don't get points for that.
Yeah.
You can say, if you say you took a heroic dose, you'll get points amongst the learned.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah, but the casuals don't give a fuck.
The casuals don't
you
give
do
a fuck.
ayahuasca, we're going to pay attention a little bit.
Yeah, the casuals are going to go, why did you eat 8 grams?
Yeah.
That seems crazy. But the other people are going to go, whoa, what was that like?
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Oprah's out here.
Oprah's out here pushing it. I wonder if it's like yeah.
I mean, this is on my friend Mark Bell's page, Mark Smelly Bell. And he said, what fucking year are we living in? Like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah. I wonder if the ayahuasca thing is for some like a quick fix. You know, they're looking for like immediate life change.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And also, sometimes your life has been such a colossal series of failures that you want like some symbolic reset.
Yeah.
And probably there's a lot of value in like a real, like set and setting, like a ritual.
Yeah.
Like I'm emerged, I'm a new person. At
Yeah.
least maybe that bullshit will give you some momentum.
For real.
To kind of get on the right track.
I was talking to Neil about this. Neil Brennan, you know, he did it.
He's done a lot of
He's done,
things.
yeah, because he was trying.
Yeah.
You know, he was really battling
He
with
needs to get off
stuff.
that vegan diet.
Yeah, maybe that's it. What if it's just chicken is all he needs? Like, what,
Just
what
needs
if
a ribeye.
he's down in Costa Rica licking toads, and he really
For real.
have a hanger steak.
Dude, if I had that dude over my house and cooked him some elk steak, I'll change his fucking life. Just you make an agreement, just eat this with me.
He takes one bite and he's like, "I am worthy."
Yeah.
But I think he was talking about it, and then like, and he was, you know, one of his like superpowers is his like cynicism, right? And it's
Yeah.
really debilitating. And I tell him this all the time, but like, it's also amazing because he's like hyper aware of what the most negative thing could be.
Right. So for joke writing, it's amazing.
It's like he's constantly wondering like, what would his biggest hater think? I actually think it was one of the reasons why Chappelle's show was so successful, because it's like, to create things, you need to be super confident. You need to not worry about who's going to criticize you.
Yeah.
So if you can outsource your criticism, so if Dave can like think about these things and be like, okay, this is awesome, and then Neil can be like, yeah, but this would be said if we do this. And then together you have this like perfect combination of like uber confidence and then this insecurity. And then you make these things that are just masterpieces.
And hyper analytical insecurity.
Yes.
You know, like intelligent,
Yeah,
hyper
when you're smart
analytical.
and insecure, it's even worse.
Right.
Dumb and insecure, you can manage. But
Dude.
then he said he did the ayahuasca, and he was like, it gave me this like, I don't know, feeling of connectedness or whatever people experience through it. And he's like, it was really liberating. I think I did my best work afterwards because I wasn't constantly beating myself up. Like I was able to create. So I think there is value in it, but I do think sometimes people are looking for like the quick, okay, my life has changed now, and now I connect with the world, and we're perfect.
You can always tell the guys who beat themselves up because they beat other people up too.
What is it? Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah, the guys who beat themselves up, they're always like super critical of other. But look at him. Look at his fucking bullshit.
Did you ever
act.
go through a stage like that?
Not really.
Never.
No. I figured it out when I was 21. Real lucky. I talked about this the other day. There was one time, it was an open mic night, and the guy went on after me. I was hoping that he would bomb. And I remember thinking that, like, what a bitch-ass way to think that is.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a bitch-ass way to think. And I completely shifted my perspective. Because, like, you don't think like that with martial arts. Like, you can't think like that. You know, you can't think like that.
Yeah.
You can't think like that ever. That's like a weak-ass thought.
Yes.
And then I realized, like, oh, this is like your brain trying to occupy itself with, you know, this time that's going to be between you and your goal of doing something in comedy. And it's so far away. You suck. You're 21 years old and you suck.
So everybody else got to suck.
So you want people to fail and you want to do better.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just a total scrambly, I don't know what I'm doing with my life thought.
Yeah.
And I realized, I was like, oh, that's a bitch-ass thought.
But that is very normal for human beings.
Oh, yeah.
I
There's
feel
a lot
like
of bitches out there.
Yeah, like we're kind of
People give
bitch-made
in.
in general. Like it
Well-
takes more effort to not be a bitch, actually.
Especially if you have a job. So if you have a regular job, like an office job,
Yeah.
you will pretend to be a whole different person for 8 hours a fucking day, every day of your life that you're there.
Yeah.
That is a lot of time bullshitting.
Yeah.
And when you get out of all that bullshitting, there's not much you left. Whatever could have been you never grew because whatever could have been you was stifled by fluorescent lights and a fucking monitor.
You're watching Severance, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, clearly it's a metaphor for, I don't know, there's a lot of things that go on to
There's
it.
a lot going on with
And
that
also,
show.
shout out Ben Stiller. I didn't even know Ben had this, like, level to him.
Right.
I've always respected Ben. I thought he was hilarious, making great comedy movies. But I didn't know he was, like, an avant-garde storyteller. Like,
Right.
I mean,
it's
this
also
is-
the way it's shot is
It is
brilliant.
The first episode, every shot, I don't know who the DP is. Like, we should find out who that guy is. But every shot has, like, perfect symmetry. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice
You
it,
could
but
cut the
it's just-
screen in half every single shot.
Really?
It is a masterpiece. And but I think about that, like this idea of like severing yourself. A lot of people are doing that at work anyway.
100%.
And it's what you were describing. They're this other person at work for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
They aren't their self. There's a different identity. They make up these little terms like, oh, it's my work wife. It's like, yeah.
Well, that's why it's so easy to push like crazy woke nonsense into an office space because people are already bullshitting.
Oh, so if we're already pretending here, what
Yeah.
else are we going to pretend about?
What else do I have to do to keep this job?
Yeah.
What do I have to do to get a promotion? What do I have to do? Do I have to pretend that trans kids, what is it? Drag queen shows. Okay, I'm in. I'm in. Healthcare, yeah, it's on my dick. Whatever you want to call it.
And it's
Gender affirming, was that what we're calling it? Okay.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, to see how little pushback there is about, like, from the workers now that all these like programs are being wiped away. Like,
Well, the people that are losing their job are complaining hard,
Well,
and
no,
then the senators are complaining hard, but
Yeah.
everybody else is happy.
yeah, the people who've been faking it at work that are still working there are not like, damn it, you know what I mean? They're just going, all right, good, I get to be like a little closer version to myself.
Well, they're probably going to get fired.
At Disney? You're saying at Disney?
What do you mean?
I'm saying all these programs like have come out, maybe not Disney, but it was like Zuckerberg comes out and goes, yeah, Meta, we're not going to do the DEI shit.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
Amazon even came out and
I
said
thought
it.
you were meaning government jobs were cut by USAID. I
No,
thought that's
I'm
what you were
talking about corporate jobs, people who have the corporate jobs.
This episode is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. My team deserves a lot of credit. They help make this show what it is and keep things running smoothly. I don't know if it would be half as good without them. But you know who deserves even more credit? All the people whose job it is to hire. They're the real heroes. You and I wouldn't have the amazing teams we do without them. And as a reward, I want to let you guys in on a little secret that will make your job a whole lot easier. Use ZipRecruiter. You can even try it for free right now at ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. There's a reason ZipRecruiter is so popular among employers, and that's because of how fast its smart matching technology works. Immediately after you post your job, ZipRecruiter will start sending you qualified candidates. And to really speed up the process, they have an invite to apply feature that lets you personally reach out to your favorites. Hiring heroes, let ZipRecruiter make your job easier. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Rogan. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/ROGAN. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Oh, you mean corporate DEI jobs?
It could be DEI. It could just be anybody working there in general.
But there's a bunch of people that got jobs, and their whole job was to make sure that the company was diverse.
Right.
And it's like, do you remember the Rainbow Coalition? You remember Jesse Jackson back in the day? Jesse Jackson used to...
I know Jesse, but I was
He had this thing where he would go to businesses, like if they had some sort of a dispute, like say if there's some sort of an issue, like maybe some black executive got fired and maybe shouldn't have, or someone put something on the wall in the bathroom, something. Jesse Jackson will come in and for a nominal fee. For a nominal fee. He will come in and straighten your business out. And so...
What does straighten your business out mean?
Well, make sure that you guys are on the right track. Give a little speech, collect a little check, and then what?
So basically, say you're not racist.
Absolutely, you're not. You can't be racist. You're hiring Jesse Jackson, and we're on the right track. So he comes along, gives you the rubber stamp,
legend,
and then
what a legend.
And he's like balling out of control, just giving the rubber stamps to these companies. And then on top of that, what they do is then they would have jobs for people to oversee this activity in a large corporation. Bro. So it's basically like no-show jobs the mob used to give out at the Javits Center.
Right, yeah.
I had a buddy of mine who had one of those.
Do people know what the Javits Center is here?
It's a big convention center in New York City.
This is where like Comic-Con would be and all these different things. Okay,
big stuff.
And it was mobbed up, right?
Mobbed up.
So they would have all these fake jobs that you could give to the guys around the block.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting paid. And it's probably supported by the city in some way, right?
Yeah, I don't want to say his name because he's still around.
Okay.
But he was an actor. And I was working with him, and he was explaining he's got a no-show job. I knew he was...
Do I know who you're talking about?
Probably not, but I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
Fucking great guy.
Okay.
But afterwards, everybody was like, that guy's like so mobbed up. He had a fucking no-show job.
You know what's funny about
You get like $200,000 a year. You don't even have to work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of like construction jobs and stuff. This is
what USAID is finding. Yeah. USAID found this place in San Antonio that
you thought it was only Ukraine getting money for nothing?
Billions of dollars on, and it's fucking no one was there, completely empty.
To me, it's not like shocking, but
the numbers are shocking.
No, the numbers can get shocking, but it's funny the Jesse Jackson thing is an actual job because I remember like I had a joke that it could never work out, but the idea was based on. It was Black Lives Matter when Ukraine started popping, right? So everybody had the Black Lives Matter posters in their windows in New York. And when Black Lives Matter kind of came down...
Well, it's once those ladies got caught buying houses.
Of course.
That put a dent in it.
It wasn't great. So now there's all these white people in New York that have Black Lives Matter in their window, but they're like, I got to get this out of my window. So I had this idea for a joke where it's like, if I was a black dude, I would set up a business where we will take down your Black Lives Matter poster for you and then replace it with like a Ukraine flag. You know what I mean? So like you're still a good person. Jesse was doing it in the fucking 70s. I had no clue the Rainbow Coalition already worked.
Oh, that is what it's called, right? It was the Rainbow Coalition. He had a bunch of other things he would call it under. But the whole idea was just to make sure that people weren't doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Do the right thing.
Yeah, you gotta do the right thing.
You gotta do the right thing.
You always gotta do the right thing.
Yeah, but the problem with that is it gets hijacked. Obviously, there should be no racism. There should be zero racism.
Yes.
There should be zero discrimination.
Yes.
Everything should be merit-based.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is, and this is a real problem, the country's not merit-based in terms of like where you're born. Like you didn't earn your birth spot. You didn't earn your family.
Yeah.
It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
And you get real lucky or really fucking unlucky.
Yeah.
And as a community, as a country, we pay zero attention to the completely downtrodden.
I think this is the biggest mistake that the Democrat Party has made is not making it a class issue. Like the most successful people in the party, like Bernie, and you could like her politics or not, but like AOC, they make it a class issue every single time. I think AOC polled the same as Trump in her district. Why is that? Because people think that she wants to help. And Bernie has just been taking shots the entire time. He's like, look at all these billionaires. They got a lot of money. You don't have enough money. Campaign finance is fucked up. We need to stop that. There's too much influence with people with money. And it resonates with people.
Oh, yeah, man.
We feel like you want to help. I mean, I feel like you were like a big Bernie dude.
Dude, that was the first time I really got canceled was over Bernie. Because they didn't want Bernie to win. And so they started calling me racist and homophobic. And I was like, where is this coming from?
When Bernie started popping, what did they say, right? They had to, and I don't know who they is. You could call whoever the fuck they want. But like there was this idea that they had to like thwart his success. And these articles started coming out where it was like the Bernie bros.
Yeah.
Bernie's got a problem. His fans or his supporters are sexist, they're racist, and they're these bros that are fucked up and they're radioactive and they're bad people, and he's got a real problem. So they're trying to make him radioactive. And I remember seeing the reaction to Trump coming on the pods, and it was the exact same playbook. It was like the manosphere pods.
Yeah.
They're sexist, they're racist. Look how fucked. It's like you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're making it about identity politics. I think Americans are kind of simple in that, like, we want abundance, but we want access. So if eggs are expensive, I can't care about your bathrooms, right? Like, and you need to tap into that feeling right there. So if I'm the Democrats, this is a class issue. But I feel, unfortunately, a lot of them are in the pockets of these wealthy people. And
it's all a hustle. If we had the entire time, if we had brilliant people working for the betterment of the United States, it'd be a far better place to live in. We've had a bunch of people that are capitalizing off of the fact they get in this position of extreme influence and wealth.
Yeah.
And they make insane amounts of money for people with a $170,000 a year salary. And they keep it rolling.
So how do you do that? Like, how do you find somebody who wants power but is also benevolent? Because
you got to get rare human beings.
That's the thing. Most people who want power don't exactly want to give back.
Yeah.
It's a bottomless pit.
Bro, have you ever seen people get like a little bit of power and lose their fucking marbles?
Like who?
Well, I can't say. I can't tell a story because it'd be like real obvious who I'm talking about. But it's not one of our friends. I just don't want to say it publicly. It's not. You don't even know him.
Okay.
But I've seen people with just like, you get a job where you're the boss now and you just become a cunt and a half. Like, what happened?
Do you think it exposes who they always were, or do you think it actually changes their character?
It's probably both. They probably had weak character to begin with, but they could get away with it if they were not in situations that, caused a lot of anxiety or stress. But then as soon as they do get in a situation causing, like if you're the boss of some workplace somewhere.
Yeah.
I've just seen people just completely lose their shit when people rely on them and depend on them. They just become tyrants.
Do you think that they resent the dependence?
I don't know what it is, man. I don't know what it is.
You have a lot of people that depend is, I would say depend is tricky because they have the autonomy to not do that. But there are a lot of people that definitely rely on you. And do you feel pressure from that? Yeah.
No.
Really?
No.
But I feel like you took care, like before you opened the comedy club, you were taking care of these people that you asked to come out here and work for you. So you must have felt this concern for them.
Yeah,
like, didn't you hire them and weren't you paying them even before the club was open? Yeah,
well, they were all unemployed out of L.A., so I said, listen, we're going to open up a club, we're going to find a spot, but you could start immediately. So, like, you just get paid, enjoy Austin, kick back, relax, we'll call you in about a year and a half. It was around 2 years.
But you felt a responsibility.
Yes, but it didn't burden me.
Got it.
It wasn't like, oh, this is a heavy responsibility. It's like, this is smart. We could do this. This is the right thing to do. This way, we already have the best people that, got fired from the Comedy Store because the Comedy Store couldn't open because LA's retarded.
Yeah.
And so we got them all to come out here, and it's like, look, the right thing to do is to, like, pay them now, and we'll figure that out. We just had to figure out where the spot was, and then, obviously, once we got the spots, like, this is going to be we're going to have to put some construction on this bitch and do a lot of shit, and it's going to take some months.
So you knew it was going to take time. You're like, okay, I'm going to take care of them in the interim. But again, so you're not burdened by people feeling like they rely on you or anything.
No, it doesn't bother me. No. If it burdened me, like if it was something where I was worried I was going to run out of money, like if I was like stretched real thin, I'd be like, fuck, there's so many people working for me. This is a problem. Like I gotta like figure something out.
Yeah.
But I'm not. So it's okay. It's like to decide what you think about in this life.
What do you mean by that?
Decide what you think about in this life. Are you going to do something that's going to change the way you feel about having a bunch of employees, or are you not? Or are you just going to freak out about it? Like, decide what you think about things.
What are those two philosophies, like determinism and free will?
Yes.
Are you a huge free will guy? Do you believe in determinism at all?
Will is real. Okay, I know it's real because it exists in me. The idea, though, is that it's fleeting. And it's dependent upon a multitude of factors. Your will is really dependent upon your hormone levels, your genetics, how much sleep you've had, what positive or negative experiences have shaped you in your life. There's a lot going on that like forces you into this position where you have to decide whether or not will is real.
Yeah.
But will's real.
I believe it's real.
It's 100% real.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not determinism that makes David Goggins run harder than anybody else.
Yeah.
It's will.
Yeah.
It's 100% will. His knees are destroyed.
Yeah.
It's only will that just gets you up off the couch if your knees are destroyed and you run a tidy 30 miles that day.
Yeah.
That's not determinism.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. If it was determinism, there'd be tons of those guys out there.
Yeah.
There's only a small Cameron Haynes, small little fucking handful of these like psychotic people who have incredible will. World champion fighters, you know, Gordon Ryan in jiu-jitsu. Like like Gordon Ryan works out every fucking day of the week. 365 days a year.
It's a huge sacrifice.
If you want to be really great at something, you kind of have to be out of your fucking mind, but you also have to have an iron will.
Yeah.
You don't want to work out every day.
Yeah.
There's going to be days you just want to eat cake and sleep.
Yeah.
But if you want to get past the guy who eats cake and sleeps, you don't eat cake and you don't sleep.
Yeah.
That's will, dude. That's will. Your determinism can suck my dick because it's never, there's no just like accidental amazing people.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's like, it's like a lot of similar stories. You know, single mom, started doing this and invented something when he was 18.
Do they all come from trauma, you think?
I think a lot of people that are hyper ambitious come from a shitty environment.
And what is that connection?
I think it's probably wanting something better than you're experiencing and knowing that it's possible, that it's out there, and knowing the pain of living in the ghetto or the pain of being on food stamps, the pain of poverty, and then the fact that like when you're poor and you're young, you wonder whether or not you're going to have food. That's a scary thought for a child.
Yeah, that's motivating.
Yeah, it puts a kind of fire in you. Like, you don't get a Mike Tyson if he grows up in Brentwood.
Yeah.
You get them when they grow up in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Yeah.
You don't get them when they have an awesome dad and an awesome mom who's there for their baseball games, tells them what a great job they did and consoles them when they get hurt. And no. You have like a life of pain, and then you got some pain to dish out after that.
But I feel like it's not completely dependent on that. Like I wouldn't say that I had this like life of pain. Like I've, dealt with my shit, but I feel incredibly competitive and ambitious.
You're an artist. It's a different thing, right?
Yeah.
The reason why it's a different thing is you're an artist in a very specific genre, which is talking shit. You're a shit talking artist, right? Like shit talking.
I love distilling it to that. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's professional
it's my favorite,
shit talkers.
My favorite art form.
Yeah.
And shit talking artists, they want to be around a bunch of people and have a good time.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't need to come from trauma to be ambitious and be a shit-talking artist.
Yeah.
All you have to do is like be someone who admires success and who wants to progress and keep getting better at this thing that they love that has given them so much.
Yeah,
like
but you also have to sacrifice and you have to commit to things.
Right.
I do feel like it takes like in the beginning, like, I don't think I celebrated a birthday for like a decade. Like, I don't think I ever considered like taking a vacation or anything. Like, I was just so hungry to get after it, to get good, to be like undeniable. That was like this goal. It's like, how can I be undeniable? I would see these guys go up, like fucking Greer Barnes or Mike DiStefano, and I'd just be like, they're just undeniable. And yeah, I don't know. I didn't even fucking drink, I think, for like a decade. I was like, I got to get better at this. I got to just kind of work. And maybe that comes from like watching my parents work hard or something.
I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, they were really hard workers.
Yeah.
And that's like the expectation of work.
Well, also you have a lot of gratitude. And I think if you have gratitude, you realize how fortunate you are to have the ability to work hard.
Yeah.
Because that's a real thing.
Oh, dude.
Especially working hard at something that you're actually successful at.
Yeah.
Like, once you're actually successful, keep that foot on the gas,
Bro,
motherfucker.
It is.
Keep that foot on the gas. Let's go.
That's like the balance. Like, you just put something out, so I imagine you took a little time off afterwards.
Yeah, I did. I got like 25 minutes right now.
Okay, so you're building back.
Yeah.
And like, I find in order for the next thing I do to be different, I have to take time away. Because I have to like reflect on the changes in my life. And if I keep going, like earlier in my career, I would just go. And I found I was writing different versions of the same jokes.
Right.
Like they were different jokes, but it was same topic, same kind of reaction. And I think I just wasn't.
You're trying to fill time.
I'm on the road. I'm like, I got to go back to Albany next year.
You got to do another hour.
I'm making $1,500 a weekend.
And then you get connected to that material because you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really resonate with you. Yeah.
And then, so it's like.
I think Louis took a whole year off.
I think I really respect that.
Yeah. I think it's wise.
Yeah.
I think taking time and thinking about it is really wise. And thinking about like, what are the things that are on your mind? Like what is how do you really feel about this world that we're living? This world that seems more and more like it's not real. More and more like it's a fucking simulation.
Yeah.
I'm kind of convinced now.
What, it is a simulation?
Yeah, there's something going on. There's something more to reality than what meets the eye. There's more to it than what you could put on a scale or what you could put a ruler to. There's more to this thing. This thing's made out of like some very bizarre energy that's attached to consciousness. That's what I think.
What do you mean by this?
I think that I think it's really possible. First of all, it's inevitable that one day they will achieve a simulation that is indiscernible from reality.
Okay.
No doubt about it. They've gotten real close, where you could put on haptic feedback suits and you can see things and you feel like you're in a room. They're, it's crude, but it's like, Nintendo from 20 years ago versus, some modern warfare game now.
Right.
They're going to get to a point where it's indiscernible.
Yeah.
So if it does happen, how do you know? How do you know when that takes place? Now, here's the question. Is that the ultimate progression of technology? Is the ultimate progression of technology transcending physical reality and becoming completely digital life? So if that is possible, how do we know if it hasn't already happened?
Yeah.
How can we know if it hasn't already happened?
Yeah.
Well, one thing I would say that if this world was scripted, it would be filled with a lot of shit that's exactly like what happened. Trump would get shot in the ear and say, fight, fight, fight.
Yeah.
You would have Elon Musk at the inauguration looking like he's on another planet.
Now, Joe, I just want to make the point here. You're making the argument for determinism.
No, I'm not. I'm making the argument that there's a conscious interface.
Yeah.
There's consciousness, and it's interfacing with something that's not entirely real, and that is the life that we're living in.
Yeah.
And we think it's way realer than it actually is.
Yeah. So is somebody in control of it, or they're allowing us to have some semblance of control?
I feel like it might be controlled by the actual things that are inside of it. So I think our destiny is truly in our hands. I really believe that.
I like that. And then if that is the case, how is that not real?
Well, it is real
Yeah.
in a sense, but I think that the actual way that things happen and work is dependent entirely on the level of consciousness that people have that are experiencing it. It sounds like very hippy-dippy and wooey, and it all comes from a lot of different things, but one of it comes from Tom Campbell, who wrote this like very fucking bizarre book that I've listened to on audiobook twice now.
Okay.
Where he's talking about essentially what we think of as reality is just a simulation.
Okay.
The whole entire thing is our consciousness interpreting everything as we experience it throughout the day. But when we are not here, that is not the same thing.
What do you mean when we're not here? When we die, you're saying?
Like when we're not, if you're not on Mars, is Mars real? Or is Mars something that we agree is real? We agree it's in a certain space and it'll only be there when we get there? Like if the universe is a true simulation, imagine what a mind fuck. You have a simulation where it's perfect, in that it has all of these galaxies and supernovas.
Okay.
The moon
Yeah,
aligns perfectly with the Earth to cause eclipses.
Yeah.
And without the moon being there, our entire atmosphere would fall apart.
Yeah.
We would never be able to survive.
Yeah.
So it's like this perfect little thing that's set right there, and we spin around and worry which bathroom should we let the guy in a dress go to. And
Okay.
This episode is brought to you by Squarespace. If you're looking to start an online business, you need to check out Squarespace. We even use it for JoeRogan.com. You can effortlessly take payments for whatever you want to sell thanks to Squarespace Payments, giving you options like Apple Pay, Klarna, and more. Plus, with integrated SEO tools, your customer base will always be able to find you. Try it for free at squarespace.com. Use squarespace.com/Rogan to save 10% on your first purchase. But meanwhile, it's just a show that's being put on for our consciousness.
Okay, so it's a show being put on for our consciousness, right? And then somebody's put on the show. And then we get the ability to go to the moon. And then they got to scramble and make a moon?
No, there's a moon. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Wherever you go,
because that is
there
kind of
is
funny.
a place.
It's like if like our technology gets so good and they're just going, "Fuck, we got to make this thing real." Like
This is
they're on the way.
I'm well aware. If you're like criticizing me, this is a dopey way to describe it. But I you know, if the tree falls in the forest and there's no one there, does it make a sound?
Yes.
I don't even know if the tree falls if there's no one there. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced.
So the tree. Okay. So
I think if you take a trip to the Pacific Northwest, you will find trees.
yes.
I just don't know if
Some
they're
of them
there
are-
all the time.
So they're only there in reference to us looking at them. Oh, I get what you're saying.
I think
Wait.
that's-
So you're playing a video game. And as you move throughout the map of the video game,
It has
it
to render new
presents
levels.
itself.
Yeah.
But you're saying without us accessing it, it isn't presenting itself.
It might be the whole
They're
universe.
saving on data.
That might be the whole universe. The whole universe might be us interacting with something.
But they exist.
But it doesn't exist without us.
Yeah. And this is one of those things like, what does it matter either way?
But exists with us in this moment. Like if you jump off a cliff, you
Yeah.
will die.
Yeah.
Like gravity's real.
Yeah.
You will get pulverized.
Yeah.
No doubt. But
It's because you jumped.
it's also like your consciousness is the reason why all this is here.
Yeah,
because you're interacting with
That's
it.
the manifestation of everything, though. So I get what you're saying. Like
The structure.
Existentially, does it exist if we're not touching it, feeling it? It's what they say about like the Native Americans when they first saw the ships, they didn't know what they were.
Yeah,
so
that's bullshit. That's not real.
Exactly, but like, but I wouldn't say that it's not real in that they didn't understand what it was. In the distance, they think they were like mountains moving closer.
They
If
probably just saw these giant pieces of wood and was trying to figure out. They had
They
structures.
might not know it's wood.
But didn't they have structures?
I don't know if they're fishing at that time. I'm not sure. But if you see them in the distance, you see them moving forward.
Right.
I get the idea. Like your brain can't map what that is yet.
Right, you'd be freaked out.
So it's mapping to whatever you know. So it's like, oh shit, is it low tide? And there's some like sandbars out there that are slowly approaching. What the fuck is that? That's kind of what you're saying. We can't I can't understand like what a glacier is without knowing what it is. When I see a glacier for the first time, I can recognize glaciers everywhere. But if I take someone who's never seen a glacier to it,
I think this guy's going further than that. I think he's saying the glaciers aren't real unless you're there.
but if someone is there
Yeah.
at every point in time throughout the world, then everything is.
Yes.
And we
If
have enough
someone is
people
there.
where
Yes.
there's some people in Antarctica. All right, so Antarctica's always there. There's some people in Alaska. Okay, so that's always there. If we have enough people throughout the world is this congealed substance that we can look at, feel, touch, and experience.
Yeah, and it might be like the map of the game is like those NASA satellite photos of Earth. That's the map of the game. Like if you wanted to like go through a video game, and before you go through the game, it shows you like these are the arenas in which you're playing.
And you can
then-
choose one of them?
You
Yeah.
could choose one, or you know which level you're going to.
Yeah.
Like that's those NASA 3D photos of the Earth. That's what Earth is. Earth
Yeah.
is like the place where we play this consciousness game.
When you're sitting at home and you're like thinking about these things,
Yeah.
do you like talk to your kids about it?
No, that's too weird to talk to kids about.
What about your wife? Are you like just going, hey?
She would go, what?
Yeah, okay.
You know my wife. She'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, so you're walking. So you get out of the sauna, you have a nice sweat, you're walking around your house, you're looking at the stars, you see fucking Saturn or whatever in the sky.
If she wants to talk about something like that, she'll bring it up. Like if she wants to talk about something heavy, it's not like I wouldn't talk about something heavy with her.
Yeah.
But generally, like I come home from work, she's been with the kids, she's doing this and that.
She don't need all that.
We eat dinner, we have fun, how was school, have a good time, maybe we watch a little Severance together.
Yeah.
But if she's like, did you ever think that maybe this is all isn't real? I'd be like, I'm so glad you brought this up.
Okay, so do you struggle battling with because some people, when they think about this stuff, they feel their own insignificance, and it's very depressing for them.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Like this.
So you're unaffected entirely that like your existence in this lifetime over the grand scheme of things could not be important.
It can't be important.
But it is.
But it is to you and it is to the people around you. So
and if that makes up our reality, then it's important.
Sure. But why think about that? Why think about whether or not you're important? I just don't waste any time thinking about whether or not I'm important.
Maybe important is like a pretentious word. Not important. I mean like
don't think about the end of the game. Play the game. Don't go, oh my God, it's gonna end.
Yes.
Oh, my quarter's gonna run out. Just play the game.
But some people won't play the game if they know there's no game at all. Or they know it is completely a game. I think that there's this like urgency that is applied. Like, okay, I have to create the art that I want to create in this time in my life. Like time is something I've been thinking about like nonstop since I had a kid. It's like time. How do I spend time? It maybe is cliche, but it is the thing that I like value the most. And everything gets broken up into these little quadrants of time. Okay, I'm out here. I'm doing some pods. Okay, I'm away from my daughter. I'm away from my wife. How do I get back that time? How can I like create these events? Like I don't even buy expensive shit. I like to take a vacation with my friends. I want us all to stay in the villa together because when we're in different hotel rooms, we miss out on those little moments in between.
Right.
Like time. And to me, it's like I'm putting an importance on this, I guess the game you say you're playing. I want to experience the most of this game as I possibly can while I'm here. And I have all these examples of people like finishing the game. You know, my dad's he's got dementia and all this stuff. It's like you're seeing your ability to, I guess, manifest that reality. Or you're at the kind of end of your game, knock on wood. But like, I the idea of like me being important, I don't care about like that in terms of how people see it. But in this time I have here, I want to believe it's really important, and I want to soak as much of it up as I can. And I think sometimes when you're like, it's pointless, it's nothing, like. I felt like Jim Carrey was going through that moment. Like there are these times where I'd see Jim talking about like the insignificance of the world. And I feel like that can kind of like lead people to sadness and depression. I feel like sometimes you need the battery in your back of importance. Not you being important to other people, but the time you spend here being valuable.
Yeah. Well, that's part of gratitude too. That's one of your best traits. And having gratitude is you would recognize that this time is precious, and you use it to the best of your ability, and really like you enjoy it, like soak it up.
Did you see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yeah, I did.
Like I thought that was a beautiful way of showcasing how people look at like the nothingness of life.
Yeah.
This girl sees it as potentially nothing and falls into her own kind of, I guess you could call it this depression. Why is it worth it? What the fuck is going on?
Right.
And she kind of sees her father as this like weak guy that's getting like walked over. And then comes to realize that like he chooses to deal with the nothingness with kindness and love with everybody. And in reality, he's like a hero. Like his perspective on the world is the best. When confronted with the nothingness of life, he chooses to like be compassionate and loving. And it's actually like the most heroic stand you can take. I think it's very easy to just submit to nothingness. You're determined is maybe the wrong word, but like you like hard shit. The day you're no longer here is when you can no longer do hard shit. I feel like your day is full of it. And it's just constant. Like wake up, I'm getting in the fucking ice bath. Like everything I see you do is hard. You know what I mean? Like you could shoot a fucking thing with a gun if you want. You could shoot animals with a gun. I'm surprised you don't run on them with a fucking knife. Like literally, I feel like one day I'm going to see you go, I'm going knife hunting. I'm going bear knife hunting. Just because it's a difficult thing to do. And I don't know, maybe that's how you process process existence?
Well, I think if you are a person who enjoys challenges and finds a reward in like working hard and overcoming that resistance inside of you, as Pressfield talks about, that thing that wants you to be lazy. If you have value in that, you find value in that, and it helps you live like a more enriched, more fulfilling life. You tend to just keep doing that because this is like, if I know for a fact, me, as much as I work out and take care of myself, if I take like 3 days off,
you'll start to get used to it?
I start getting depressed. I start getting anxious. I start feeling weird. Like I don't feel level. Like a couple of days off, you're just like, ugh, I just feel gross. I was just like, why is the world so weird? And then I'll have one good hard workout, and then I'm like, oh, everything's fine. And then I'm like, how many people need that and don't get it?
So what is that?
It's just a human body has certain requirements because it's designed to run from tigers. Okay, the human body is designed to constantly.
So you have to feed it.
Yeah,
you have to feed it. You have to deal with these difficult things because for millions of years, that's how our brains and bodies have been processed to work efficiently. And if you don't put in those situations, what is the messaging like? You're wasting this time here? Like, look, what is that internal messaging?
You can have both, right? You can have people that have brilliant minds and shit bodies. They exist. There's people that don't take care of their body at all, and Stephen Hawking. But he had a disease. But
it wasn't like an Adonis before.
Right, that's true too.
Yeah.
Right.
People act like it's a big difference.
Yeah, but the best way for your brain to work well is if your body is healthy and has energy. It doesn't mean you have to be a weightlifter. It doesn't mean you don't have to do any specific thing. If you like running, run. If you like tennis, play tennis. If you like yoga, do yoga. But you should 100% do something. Find a thing you enjoy doing. That's why golf or rather tennis is such a great thing, because it's cardio and it's fun.
Yeah.
Right? You're doing a fun thing. You're playing with your friends. You're
also
talking
community.
Shit. Yeah, community.
Huge.
Yeah, but you're active. If you don't do that, I don't think your body is in sync. And I think there's a whole lot of people running out there taking care of things with pills that you could fix way better and feel and look better. More importantly, it would help in every aspect of your life. It would help you think clearer. You'd have less stress. You'd be more reasonable. Like, go fucking do something with your goddamn body.
Yeah.
And if you don't do that, I really believe if you don't do that, you have less potential. You could have a genius mind that allows you to overcome that potential, which is just pure intelligence, just a pure insight on the world that's extraordinary. You could overcome bullshit hormone levels and bullshit, body fat levels. You could, but you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You're so fucking smart and you got a terrible body?
Yeah.
Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
You have one of these goddamn things.
Yeah.
You can make that thing awesome.
Yeah.
You don't even do anything.
Yeah.
You have one of these.
Yeah.
You get one fucking body and yours is a dumpster.
Yeah.
Yours is a dumpster for potato chips. That's crazy.
What do you, like, when you're talking to these high-functioning dudes, you're talking to, like, an Elon, do they value exercise and stuff like that at all? Like, can he even put that in his day? Like,
Elon's a different animal. There's no other human I've ever met like him. No, I don't think he exercises much. I think maybe a little bit. I know he was thinking about fighting Zuckerberg, so he did some training. He trained with Lex and who else? Was it George St. Pierre? They put up a photo of it. It was George, right? So he trains with one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time.
Yeah.
Lex Friedman, our boy, who is also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
Yeah.
And I think he just did a little bit of that. It was like, fuck this.
Shout out Lex, man.
Yeah, there it is. Look at
Lex.
John Danaher, the great John Danaher, the greatest jiu-jitsu coach of all time. So he was like learning some stuff.
I'll never forget Lex coming to my wedding uninvited and blacking out. I'll never forget that. Thank you, Lex. We really appreciate that.
In all fairness, it was my fault that he blacked out.
Yeah. You forced him to drink.
I kind of got him a drink and didn't realize the Russian in him had a mind of its own. That Russian mixed with that fucking American bourbon, that motherfucker was off to the races.
It was so funny. Whitney was like, yeah, I'm going to take Lex. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I like that guy. And then I remember seeing him on like a beach chair just pass the fuck out.
Oh, dude, we had an adventure.
Yeah.
So
you guys went to Vegas later that night,
We go to
right?
Vegas that night because Whitney had
like a corporate
wedding. She had a wedding. She
Oh,
did
I
a
thought
wedding
she had
at
a
someone's
gig.
house. It was a corporate
Oh, it
gig.
was a gig, yeah,
but it was
yeah.
a wedding at someone's
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
I think it was a wedding or a birthday, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Private party at someone's house. Must have been a birthday. So we fly from your wedding.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hang out and then hop on a jet. You know, it's only 30 minutes to Vegas. We get to Vegas. By the time we land, Lex is lit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, Lex is
He was lit at the party.
Lit,
Yeah,
lit.
yeah.
So Whitney performs at this lady's house.
Didn't you go on?
I introduce her.
Oh, I thought you
go
did
on
like 5
no,
minutes.
I was drunk too.
Okay.
I went up and said happy birthday, whatever, to the lady. I forget what it was. I'm pretty sure it was birthday. And then I bring up my good friend, one of the most hilarious comics in the world, Whitney, come.
Yeah.
And then we get on the plane, or we get in the car to go to the plane to head back.
Yeah.
And there's no plane. They never booked a return flight. So we tried. So we try to get a return flight because they got our little shitty private jet to get there.
Yeah.
So then we try to get a return flight. We cannot. I call my service. They can't. The quickest they can do is in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys want to do? So we decide that we're gonna get a limo, and so have a
And
car
drive back.
service drive us back to L.A.
Love it.
So it's a 4-hour drive or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
me, my wife, Whitney, and Lex.
I remember you just sending me videos of Les passed out at different parts of the casino.
That's at the airport. that's at the airport.
But he's like that for the last 12 hours. He was like that at the wedding.
He was obliterated. I mean, he went hard. That boy goes hard.
Yeah.
He goes hard. It makes you want to not drink.
Yeah,
There's certain
yeah.
people I'm around, I'm like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm
I
done.
feel like less people are drinking.
Well, it's really
That might be
a good idea.
your influence.
It's a good idea to not drink so much.
I wonder if the alcohol companies are concerned. They're trying to find something.
There's always going to be drunks.
I see it. I see it. Like beer consumption way down.
The problem is it's poison.
Yeah. But
It's
everything's poison.
wonderful, lovely poison.
Yeah.
My favorite poison is wine. I love
great
a
poison.
great glass of
Do
wine.
we have a little nice little red going on here?
Do we have any red wine here?
I want to know what you're drinking.
There's something. Yeah, there's at least some out there for sure. I know
Okay.
there is. Can we get some?
Do you want some?
I mean, if you're gonna have a glass, I'll have a glass.
I'll have a little sip with
Just
you.
a little
I've kind
sip.
of cut way back on my alcohol consumption.
Oh, really?
Yeah, way back. I would go every time I'd go out to dinner, I'd have a drink or two.
Yeah.
Every time I'd go to the club, I'd have a drink or two. And then one day I sat down, I was like, that's like 4 days a week, 5 days a week. That's like a drink or two, 5 days a week. Like, how would you feel if you didn't have a drink or two, 5 days a week? So I didn't have any drinks for
And?
like 2 weeks, and I feel a lot better.
Really? So am I breaking your streak right now?
Yeah, you would be breaking my streak.
I don't want to fuck your streak up.
Well,
if
we
it-
don't have to drink it then. But
Actually, let's break it. It'll be really
I
fun.
don't mind.
Yeah.
I think the key is, like all things, it's all about moderation. But the reality of alcohol is it's basically poison.
Yeah, but it's got great social utility.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like people undermine the value of alcohol and how
It ain't around for all these years because it sucks.
and like if you travel, you don't get to experience certain cultures in their truest form without them consuming alcohol.
right.
Like if you've gone to
Right.
like Ireland, you go to Dublin, like during the day there are very different people and they seem kind of like tight and dour, and then at night at the pub after like a few Guinness, it seems almost cliche, but everybody's singing and dancing and there's so much like love and connectivity, and you see why all this great like literature, music and poetry just comes from this tiny little island. And you're like, "Oh wow, you really need that." Like it is a tough place to live and you got to stuff everything down and you need a release valve. Same thing with Russia. Like when I was in Russia, seeing them on the drink, they're way
On the drink.
on the drink. They're warmer. There's warmth
That's a great
in the
way
culture.
to explain it, though, on the drink.
For real.
We have fancy glasses.
Okay.
Or that. They're both Cabernet though.
What are you thinking, Joe?
Well, what is...
97 or 2022.
Which one was the one that you just touched?
97.
Grab that one. It's where your hand is.
Yeah.
that's
So-
what we're gonna decide.
so that's the
97 is
thing.
a long time ago.
How do you find that balance where like you kind of
That's
need it?
old ass wine, huh?
Yeah, I don't know who brought it. It's been sitting here.
How do you find what balance?
Just like it allows people to access this part of themselves that they might feel is like pushed down or
The problem is if you use it too much, right?
Yeah.
And it's also the problem is like I notice if I drink 3 or 4 nights in a week, I don't feel as good.
Yeah.
And when I don't drink at all for 2 weeks and I feel like really good all the time, I'm like, what am I retarded?
Why am I drinking?
Why would I drink?
Yeah.
Like I don't need to drink to have a good time.
Yeah.
But you know when you're at the bar or at the club rather, and everyone's being social, and Tony's like, "Who wants a drink? Anybody want a drink?" And they're like, "Hey, cheers."
Yeah.
It's just about discipline. It's just about like if
Yeah.
you feel like you're going off the rails, hit the brakes.
Yeah.
Settle down.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
You gotta. But a lot of folks don't have any of that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And you know they'll be sober for a long time, and then one glass of Chardonnay later, they're doing cocaine and headed to Vegas.
It's not even the alcohol.
There was Lex Friedman.
Blowing rails on a private jet. Who does coke and passes out? That's how drunk you are.
Oh, there's something so funny about people passed out. That's what, like, it's the funniest shit
Yeah,
ever.
they've become children. They're babies. They're
Yeah.
like infants. You know, they're just completely in control of their body.
Yeah, you're not even there. Hello.
Yeah.
Look at you out cold. It's just a weird aspect to people that we have to shut off.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I was just watching this video about this guy who he did a radio broadcast in Times Square where he stayed up for 8 days.
Okay.
And this guy started having crazy hallucinations. He was having his REM sleep. His REM cycles in his brain were going off while he was awake. So he's
Interesting.
living inside nightmares.
Yeah.
I'll send it to Jamie. It was crazy. I think Duncan sent it to me. It's really
They
wild.
say that can induce insanity faster than anything, right?
Oh, for sure, dude. I mean, that without a doubt.
The sleep deprivation.
Yeah, sleep deprivation is really bad for you.
How many hours do you get a night?
I try to get at least 7.
Oh wow. So if
but
you
if
come
good nights,
home,
I get more.
But what if you come home late from the club? You're just
When I do, if it's school days, especially,
Yeah.
I get up in the morning, I say goodbye, and then I'll maybe go back to sleep for an hour. So like I'll get up with them, you know, see them off, and then I'll go back to sleep for like 1 more hour.
Yeah.
Because I can sleep on the ground, dude. I can go to sleep on rocks. I know how to pass out. So like I could go right back to sleep and I'm
Cheers.
good. But I like 7. But I can function on 6. I had 6 last night.
Yeah.
I had to get up in the morning for a dentist appointment. But generally speaking, I'm looking for 8.
Yeah.
I like 8.
Yeah.
8's where it's at.
I don't think I've had 8
Salute, my
hours.
brother.
Salute. I don't think I've had 8 hours since I had a kid.
Oh yeah,
Cheers.
I didn't either for a while. It takes a long time, and it's also like, your day is way more occupied.
Oh.
It's a completely different. Like
Yeah.
you really realize how much your actual time working on something is precious when you have children, because like they just go to bed. You're like, okay, I got an hour
Yep.
to get
Time
some
to
shit
go.
done.
Yep.
You know, you got 1 hour. You don't
Yep.
have an hour to flip through your phone, check out TikTok. You got an hour to get something
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And then you got to go to bed.
Yeah.
And then you got to get up in the morning. You got to get up early. You got to help
Yeah.
with this, help with that. We're doing this, we're doing that. We're packing
Yeah.
our stuff in here. And okay, let's go there. And there's a thing after school. Remember, it's at 4:30. Don't
Yep.
be late. Okay,
Yep.
4:30. And then you got to zoom over from here and go to the. It's like
Yeah.
your day is so occupied, but it makes you more disciplined.
It makes you more disciplined, and it makes you feel more productive. Like, it's weird. Like, even going out and, like, say, having some drinks or whatever and waking up and feeling kind of shitty, without, like, the kid, I kind of feel guilty by halfway through the day. I'm like, what was I doing? Well, fuck that. I go out partying. But when I'm, like, up at 7 and I'm fucking tired, I'm hungover, and I'm with my wife and taking care of the baby, by 12, I'm like, I'm a good fucking parent. Like, I feel like this... I feel like a positive sensation in the place of this like guilt-ridden one that I would used to feel maybe. And I think it's that immediate productivity, that purpose. There's this human being that you love more than anything that is like deeply relying on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
It's also the kind of love you have with them. It's just
Dude.
indescribable.
How old were you when you had your first?
40?
Yeah, so I'm 41, so I was. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's every cliche. It's amazing you spend all this time as a comedian, like thinking of unique or different angles, and then you're presented with your child, and like every feeling you have is the most cliched feeling that everybody has ever described in having a child.
Yeah, and then you don't mind when babies are crying on airplanes anymore.
Dude, it completely
Changes everything.
it is adorable when they're crying on the airplane.
Yeah.
You want to you almost want to help the mom.
Isn't that crazy how when you're a young man, you're like, oh my God, a baby's crying. You look for something to cover your ears with.
That's also a big city thing. I feel like places that
Like country places where they're so used to
where there's family
people-
dynamics and
Right,
that's
right,
rewarded.
right,
And I
right.
grew up in the city where it just wasn't that rewarded, and
Right.
it's like a rare thing to even be a kid in the city.
Well, especially you're a kid in the city, and then you go from that to being a stand-up comedian. So you're a nighttime nightclub guy, like the whole baby crying, like oh Jesus,
Yeah.
it's like whoa, some bad decision making going on over there. Yeah,
But it is. I wish that I would like us to change that a bit. I think that's the thing that's kind of missing in this masculinity movement is fatherhood. Like I hear a lot of guys talking
Is
about.
there a masculinity movement going on?
Apparently on these pods that we do.
Is that what it is?
We're the manosphere, dude. This is where fucking men hang
I don't
out.
think they consider us the manosphere, honestly. I think the manosphere is like those pickup artist type dudes.
But that's the thing. None of those guys have kids, or they talk about what it is to be a man, and it's like, buddy, you're missing out on the most important part of the entire process.
Yeah.
I want to hear the guys who have a bunch of kids telling me what it is to be a man.
Right.
To me, that's way more valuable, and I feel like they're missing out on the defining moment in a man's life.
Even bitches have alpha bitches. There's a leader of the bitches.
Oh, that's fire.
So
Yeah.
they're a leader of a movement. But
Yeah.
what kind of movement you leading, bro?
Yeah.
What kind of movement you leading?
Yeah.
You know?
It is.
Yeah. You go to an island full of bitches and you could become the
There's
king.
going to be somebody there.
Just find out who that head bitch is.
Yeah.
And say, yeah.
Yeah.
Time's up.
And those bitches are probably easier to lead.
Oh yeah, for sure. That bitch has been leading them.
Yeah. yeah. Yeah, just
It's like
yeah.
I saw one CNN after the election. They were talking about us in specific, and they were talking about how there is this network of podcasts that are interconnected that has been financed. This
yeah.
huge
Who's paying us?
corporate finance network.
It's called
of
Black Rifle Coffee.
It's so stupid. No, it's actually just a bunch of friends, you fucking idiots. We just happen to do each other's podcasts. But they're trying to sort it out.
Bro, it's so
they
funny when they
support
try to
each
solve the
other, they
problem.
go on each other's shows, and they're all in this together. Well, we need that on the left. Good luck.
Yeah,
you
that's-
guys
yeah.
cancel each other if your fucking Ukraine flag is too small.
Yeah. 6x6.
Yeah, you fucking talk shit about each other for not having trans kids.
Yeah.
You guys are out of your mind. You're not gonna sync up together. You're in a suicide cult.
Yeah. I think that was the results of the election. I don't think that they would like to believe this, but it was a rejection of what was happening. I think the assumption is everybody just loves Trump and he's just this populist, and every person that voted for him is I just love everything about this guy. But I actually think that a lot of people were just I don't like what's happening now.
Right.
And this current administration is saying that they don't want to change much that's happening now.
Right.
So I'm voting against that lack of change.
Right.
And I think it's important for them to realize that. I talk about this a lot, especially with Charlo on the pod, and it's just you have to be reflective what the people are telling you. When the Mangione thing happened and the reaction by the people was to laugh at it.
Yeah,
and
they were
kinda
kind of pumped.
But you got to look at that, and you got to pay very close attention to what people are feeling. Don't tell them what they should feel, and you know better, and we have to lead them to the water because they're too stupid to know how to find it. No. They are disillusioned by the medical system. And if you don't meet them there, you're never going to win. Ever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's, at least from talking to Trump, that was something that I got from him is it doesn't seem like it when you see him on the news and shit, but he's an acute listener. He listens to what people are saying. And he listens to, more importantly, what they're feeling. And he can tap into those feelings. And I think that that's what people who've had a lot of success in politics were able to do. Barack did it. Bill Clinton did it. Probably maybe the best. Bill might have been the best. His ability to communicate to people what they were feeling.
I know you feel pain.
I do feel pain, Bill.
I'm here for you.
You are?
I am.
I would love that. It was...
I'm going to be your leader.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, it's
You need to listen.
what I think what Trump's done that's really brilliant is bringing people like Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.,
Yeah.
Kash Patel, like bringing those people, and like you kind of really do get a chance to change things, like legitimately change things.
But think about that decision, right? It's like those people are all echoing sentiments that the majority of Americans feel. We do not trust the food. Here's the guy who says the food is bad.
Right.
Maybe we should put him in control of the food. Kind of like a simple thing.
Yeah.
Instead of going, well, this guy is the food doctor, and we're going to hire the food doctor because he knows what food is good for you, and you guys should just shut up and listen. And I feel like there's a lot of this like top down on the left. And I'm not trying to just like bag on the left. I don't care really about that. Like, I don't even care about the politics. I care more about like where the cultural liquidity is. And it's like, you can't talk down to people. There's this like Ivy League pretentiousness in the Democratic Party, I feel, where they're like, we know better, and just, you must be stupid if you don't agree with us. And it's like, all right, well, I'm stupid. I'm dumb.
Yeah.
I'm dumb then. So why doesn't somebody meet me where I'm stupid and start at least making me feel like I'm not an asshole for the way that I, for my, I guess you could say, political leanings now. Yeah, I feel like they need to meet. And it's a very simple thing. Make it a class issue, and I think they win. And say what you want about America, but I think it's better if we have two people running for president that we're stoked about, and it's a really hard decision.
Oh, yeah. That would be wonderful. Yeah, that's not what we had. We had one group of people that legitimately wanted to change things, and then we're going to see what happens if they do. But you're seeing weird stuff today that you never see before,
like
which
what?
is like a real adjustment to the age of the internet. One of the things you're seeing is, I don't know if you saw the 22 different Congress people who were all saying the exact same line with the word shit in it.
What was the line?
So it's like, it's this speech. They're reading it verbatim.
Yeah.
They're all reading it and doing it to a microphone as if it's a rant. But they're all doing from the same script, and the shit ain't right.
So this is
the shit ain't right is the beginning of it. When in the history of the United States
Has a politician
said shit?
Yeah.
And not just one, but 22 of them in tape record. Can you pull it up just so we can see it? Because it's so nuts.
This is think
when
tank
you see them all
politics.
together, it's just like they have it on screens as tiles, and they're all saying the same words. They all have their own little flair they put on it.
Yeah.
Look at this. Put your headphones on. This is fucking bananas.
Terrible. It's hard to listen.
It's okay. You won't be able. You can't really tell. It's like a crowd. But when they had three of them, when it was the first three, was like it was Chuck Schumer and someone else.
Yeah.
They're saying the exact. Oh, Elizabeth Warren and someone else.
Yeah.
They're saying the exact same words.
Yeah.
In the exact same subjects in the exact same order. You guys are all reading off a script, and you're trying by putting the word shit in there to be authentic.
Well,
Shit ain't right.
to be specifically authentic, they're like, we
Yeah.
need to speak to working class
kids.
people, to the kids.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like bigoted in a weird way where like, it feels like they're almost in a think tank like, hey, listen, these poor dummies, they like it when you curse.
Yeah.
So if you use a few curse words in your speech, they're going to really relate to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we actually need somebody disruptive. We need somebody on the left that might speak like that, but authentically speaks like that, and is willing to disrupt even what's happening on the left. Because if you look at like what happened with the Trump and the movement, like he disrupted the right. The right looks very different now than it did 5-10 years ago, right?
Definitely.
So I want like
a MAGA Democrat.
Yeah, like for real. Like and what is that? Like what do we at our baseline want, right? We like abundance. Tell me how great America is going to be in your version of it.
You want a Bill Clinton.
Talk that shit. Like come out talking shit. Bernie was talking shit, and I want you to come out, and if Trump can say we're going to take Greenland, there can be some Dem that goes $1 eggs and straight up says we're going to subsidize it.
How would you do that? You subsidize it?
Subsidize corn, you subsidize dairy, you subsidize everything. Like, why can we not subsidize it? But say something that's actually going to impact people. Now, Trump's not going to take Greenland, so maybe you don't get the $1 eggs, but you get this messaging across that you're actually trying to help people, and you're going to have to deal with those lobbies that are bankrolling you. And that might piss them the fuck off, but that's the disruption we need for us to trust you.
You know what they really should do?
What's that?
They really should have a strategic plan. If we're spending what is it? $350 billion went to Ukraine. What was the number? What are they saying it was? I don't know what the number is. Some insane. Let's just be conservative and say 200 billion. Imagine if we spent $200 billion in the United States in all of the crime-ridden cities of the country, just completely overhauling them.
All right. So here's my concern about that: is how much did they spend in California on homelessness?
$24 billion.
And then like nothing changed, right?
No, they got worse.
Oh,
they did a good job.
Oh, awesome.
They did a good
so
job.
maybe we could spend $36 billion. You know, like so. There's also this idea that like the current administration in these places, even with an abundance of money, is not going to make change. So you need somebody from inside, from the left, to go, hey, these people are corrupt. On my team, we're going to root out that corruption, but we are going to take care of homelessness. We are going to make eggs cheaper. We are going to build fucking 10,000 affordable housing units so that the price of, you know, your rent can go way down. There has to be something disruptive instead of, hey, let's just go back to normal. Let's not ruffle any feathers.
Yeah,
let's.
I see what you're saying. I reject the idea, though, that progress can't be had just because people have been corrupt and they've abused money before. I feel like you could farm it off to private corporations the same way we did with Halliburton during the Iraq War. What did they do with Halliburton? Got no bid contracts to rebuild Iraq.
Yep.
And they did it. They actually built all they built power plants they didn't need. There's like a lot of waste and weird shit that went on over there.
Yeah.
You could do that with the inner cities.
But
you could have
You're saying
contracts.
Halliburton did a good job?
No.
Oh.
Well, I'm just saying, like, they actually did get paid to rebuild cities, so you can get a private sector that would actually make money. It would
We've
become an
rebuilt
industry.
Iraq.
Instead of it being bureaucracy.
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying? Like, instead of it being something where it's like California, they're taking the homelessness, where nothing gets done, but money keeps pumping into it.
Yeah.
No, the only way you get paid is based on results.
Ooh.
So you have a contract with incentives based on results.
Yes. And
So
that is the problem. There is no...
You have to lower crime. You have to lower crime. You have to lower juvenile detention rates. You have to improve education scores. You have to make food, healthy food, far more accessible. It would be very easy to open up enormous food pantries in the inner city and finance it in comparison to the amount of money we spend on other countries doing transgender monkey studies, you know, or whatever the fuck we do. 'Cause, you know, the stuff they do is nuts, like $20 million to Sesame Street in Iraq. Like, it's bananas.
Yeah.
So just, if you've got enough money for that,
Yeah.
you've got enough money to set up food banks in every fucking city where poor people can get nutritious food.
Yes.
Just sign on, have a driver's license, whatever the fuck you need to get your food.
And what are the downstream effects of that? Like, you have way less health issues, which takes down the cost of health care.
Well, also, people aren't desperate because you can actually always eat, you know, which is a real problem with some people in this country, right? What's this about, Jamie? What are you pulling this up for?
They didn't do a very good job, apparently.
Oh, well, I'm sure they probably... Well, I said they did do corruption, and there was some waste, right? Because I was talking about these power plants they built that didn't matter. But the point is, it was a business.
Yeah.
So you got businesses involved, and they went in, and they got contracts to do things.
Yeah.
If you got contracts to re-engineer these communities slowly over time.
Yeah.
You'd have to do it where it didn't shock the community, but
Yeah.
slowly over time. Unfortunately, you would have to ramp up the law enforcement because there's going to be resistance. If you're going to go to the south side of Chicago and try to clean it up, you got gangs in there shooting each other every weekend. You got real fucking problems.
Have you
But what's the alternative? Let that keep going on forever?
No, you can't.
Like, so you have to rip the Band-Aid off.
Have you heard of the guy? He's the president, I think, of El Salvador.
Oh, the guy who made all those the camps for
Yeah.
those people?
And I'm sure there's tons of criticism, right? 100%. But I think El Salvador has become like the safest country in Central and South America.
Yeah, there's no criminals. They're all in jail.
They're all in jail. And I'm sure it's some like, there might even be like a little North Korea shit where it's like, yeah, you're not in the gang, but like your cousin is and you hang out with him and now you're in his prison. And
sure.
Of course. But what they've done is completely like revolutionize the country. And if you ask the other people that are not gang affiliated at all, there's this like undying support. I think he has like a 91% support rating or whatever that is. And it's like, these people feel like they got their lives back. Now, I'm sure as I'm saying, there's going to be people going like, oh, these are civil rights violations. Yeah. You know what else is also a civil rights violation? When your like city is completely run by a gang and you're terrified to let your kid leave the house.
Yeah.
So like there is a version where having more punitive measures for people that are breaking the law will increase safety and the prosperity of the people in that region. Like, in order to get investment into the south side of Chicago, you need to make it safe first. Starbucks isn't opening if it's getting broken into every fucking
100%.
week. So, yeah, it's I like that.
I think one of the first things you would finance is community centers. You finance like a real great community rec center where kids, if their mom's working, no one's there to take care of them. They got real good coaches there.
Yeah.
They got people that can set them up maybe for potential athletic scholarships if they're talented.
Yeah, this is great.
Maybe you have people that teach you how to play music.
That's where I went when I was a kid. You know, I went to the Carmine Street Recreation Center. That's where I played basketball, and it was this beautiful place, this amazing oasis where, like, not only are you getting to play friends, you know, meet friends and stuff like that, but I'm getting to compete. I'm getting to play against guys way better than me.
Yeah.
And there are these, I mean, even as I say this right now, I'm like, I gotta like donate money to like, they created this place where there was a lot of kids in those programs that they might have ended up doing some fucked up shit, man. And they had a place where they could go. There was like a safe haven.
Yeah.
And look at us talking like some libs on this pod, man.
Well, I think we are liberal.
Of course we are. That's the
real
biggest
problem.
misconception of all of this is that we don't want this place to be better, but there have to be certain changes that we make.
I'm socially about as liberal as it gets.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in a social safety net, too. I'm a firm believer in welfare and food stamps. I just think there's a way to address the root of the problem, which is people with no hope. And the way to do that is you got to give them hope. You have to make it safer for them to live where they live.
Yep.
You have to make it healthier for them to live where they live. And then I don't think it would cost that much to provide guidance for a bunch of kids that want guidance. And if you have good, solid role models that know how to do that kind of stuff, and they can all work together and build a program, and then what if those kids wind up being like really talented musicians or really talented athletes or whatever the fuck it is?
What's happening at the
jujitsu
mothership?
Classes.
Like what's happening there? Like, I feel like you've created an environment where it's like these guys can make enough money to survive, which is a very hard thing to do as a fledgling comedian, right? And some of these guys who are door guys, they're starting to get spots around. Even like some of my guys, you know, like obviously Derek Poston is like making real money, right? And learning how to flourish as a comedian instead of working 60 hours at a job and then doing comedy when he potentially can.
Right.
And you hopefully get to see this artistry grow. Like, I've watched Derek explode as a fucking comedian. Like, this guy's so fucking funny.
He's so lovable. He's so lovable.
He's got a
so
Don't
funny.
Tell coming out April 16th.
Nice.
And I've watched it. It's fucking amazing. So everybody go check that out.
Nice.
But that's the type of environment that I imagine that you can curate. Now, you're very benevolent, right? But you would hope that the government can create that same level of benevolence without leaking too much money.
Yeah, it has to be done for the right reasons, the right way, with the right people. And that was what we pulled off at the mothership because I was able to get everybody from California. But also I knew that was the formula because it was kind of like the heart and soul of the store. It was like the people that were the coolest people that were running things over there, bring them over here.
Yeah.
And it was just, the whole thing was so nuts, dude. It was like the universe wanted it to happen. Every light turned green right when we got to it. Every light turned, it just, none of it makes sense on paper. If you thought about like the idea behind dumping a ton of money in a club and your ultimate goal is to break even, like who fucking does that? And then it also, you have to.
But that's government. Government shouldn't make money. So the ultimate goal should be to break even.
Well, your ultimate goal shouldn't be everything is a money venture.
Right.
So the club is not a money venture.
Right.
The club is a artistic. It's like I want it to be like a camp. Like camp for comics. Like you go there, all your buddies are there, everybody's having a good time. We're all trade. We were all last night. Me and Shane Gillis were breaking down. Me and Shane Gillis did Bottom of the Barrel last night for an hour.
Oh shit!
We were on stage for an hour. It was the most fun I've ever had doing it. We were crying.
Good.
Like tears rolling down my face, crying, laughing. And then we're hanging out in the green room. We're breaking down this bit, and we're coming up with new lines. It's like a laboratory. It's a hangout. We got fucking Gary Clark Jr.'s playing on the stereo. Everybody's vibing. We're all laughing. Woody Harrelson's hanging out with us.
It's a vibe,
we're all
man.
having such a good fucking time, man. It's like that's what I wanted to build. I didn't want to build a business. It wasn't like, well, if I sell drinks for X amount of money and then I charge this amount for a ticket and fuck the comedians over. I do the opposite. I pay the comedians way more than everybody else pays.
And look what happens.
But that's just to try to facilitate this artist colony. I just want it to be a place where this is like the Mothership, even as a name, like we came up with the Mothership because the first one was the Asylum, because Mitzi Shore, God bless her, she always used to say, "Oh, the inmates are running the asylum." That was her thing. Whenever she would come to the store, she loved it that we were crazy.
Yeah.
She loved like Dom Barris like jumping around backstage and everybody's laughing and Joey Diaz is telling some crazy story and then Mitzi would pull up. And she'd get out of her car. "Oh, the inmates are running the asylum." And I was like, if we're gonna branch out, we should just call it the Asylum. You know?
I like Mothership.
The Mothership was better because, first of all, Asylum was already taken. There's like a couple of different asylums, so we couldn't have Asylum. And then it was like, I'm so fascinated with UFOs. I'm so obsessed with that shit anyway. Yeah. Mothership is like the place where we all launch from. So when we go all throughout the rest of the country, you always come back to the mothership.
Yeah, there's a, like, creating environments where art flourishes is, so I did Kill Tony the other day. And it's been a while since I've done like the whole show. I came out for MSG.
That was fun.
That was incredible.
We had such a good time.
Oh, dude, it was great.
Oh, we had such a good time.
Your stupid jacket. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that jacket! I had to have it.
Oh, it was
I knew I wanted to wear a fur jacket.
Yeah.
I was like, I told Tony, I'm like, I'm getting a fur coat. I have to get a fur coat.
Yeah.
I think I talked to you the day before. You're like, you getting a fur coat? Yeah. I got it the day of the show.
Yeah, you texted me something. You're like, yeah, I think I'm wearing this.
Yeah, my boy Phil found this dude who's a private shopper, and he found the spot to go. He's like one of them celebrity shopper dudes.
Yeah.
And he found me the spot.
So, and I was on it, and and I'm watching in the interviews. The interviews are really fun. Like a lot of these comics are really green, and they're going in there and trying to find something. But like the interview portion. And I'm probably saying something that everybody already knows, but when I watch Kill Tony, I'm watching it in clip form, right? So I'm seeing like these like 60-second versions.
Right.
But what I thought was really interesting about the interviews is there's a real generosity with Tony, right? I don't know if even the comics realize this, like he's trying to get you to write your first good joke. He's asking you questions where you don't have to be funny, but they are funny because you're just speaking truthfully.
Right.
And it is generous. It's easy to just like, you could bang on every single one of the people that go up there.
Right.
But that's not exactly what's happening. Sometimes, of course, people are going to get jokes. But there's this moment where like you get to watch some of these guys, like hopefully they're realizing, they're like, oh, that is a kind of funny thing about me. And that's like the first kernel of like where they'll write their first good joke.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool thing to witness. And there's a couple guys that went up and like, there's one guy like his jokes sucked, but he had something. Like, I just kept watching him.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going to be good. Like, I hope you keep doing this because you're going to be good. And, like, we started asking him questions. And he was this Mexican guy from San Antonio, and he works at, like, Office Depot. And there was something funny about, like, hold on. So, like, there was, like, something about, like, he's selling, like, papers. And it was like, hold on. So there's, like, a Mexican guy. Like, people are asking for paper. Like, there's just, like, there's all these, like it seems like a setup, you know what I mean? So, but it was just really cool to see it happen. And like, it reminded me of these early stages of comedy where you're putting together these things that you think are funny, and funny is kind of already existing in you, you know? And it was just it was a cool aspect of the show that I'm sure the people that watch it, and it's just this massively successful show, so they're familiar. But maybe the people that don't watch it don't know about the show.
They just think Tony's just roasting people.
And he's not, it's a very generous thing to do.
Yeah, it is. Well, Tony loves comedy. And loves comedy to the point where he's always writing lines for people backstage. He's always like giving people tags, and he's always talking about, did you do that bit? Like, oh, I love that bit. Like, he's super supportive with comedy, and he loves when the guys who do his show, like William Montgomery,
when they start to flourish,
they start killing it on the road. He loves that. He's actually put together a tour now, The Killers of Kill Tony.
I've seen it, and they're doing like fucking theaters, man.
Yes,
they're big,
and they're killing. These guys are good, man. Ari Matty is fucking good.
I was talking to him
man.
yesterday, man.
He's fucking smart. He's funny. He's super ambitious.
No, he's great.
He wants to be an American so bad.
He's a fun hang. He's got great perspective on stuff also. Like, he had
he's an MMA fighter.
I remember seeing
fought 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's a big guy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, I remember like he even had a joke yesterday. I mean, whatever, it will come out. But like, it was funny. Like, he tapped into something at the end of the bit that he did when he does the minute. And then in the interview, it really became the thing.
Do
you know? And
right.
Because what you get to watch is like he's a veteran comic. Like he's probably been doing it 10 or 12 years, right? So like you get into real comedian mode around 10, right?
Yeah.
And you got to witness live what we do backstage, which is like, yo, I like that idea. Why did you do this? And he said a line at the end of when we're just doing the interview that I think is going to be what this joke builds out into. I don't want to give it away. Like obviously people go watch it, but to me, like that part of the process is so fun.
Oh yeah,
and it is. I don't know if people know this about us. Like it is really fun to like work on someone else's bit. Like there's almost like more freedom because you're less attached to it.
Right.
You know, like if you have something and you're like telling me the idea, like I'm not, you're attached like a direction for it. And I'm just coming from all these other places. And what if my tag bombs? It doesn't matter. You're the one going to do it. But it is this exciting thing when you have a kernel. And yeah, this moment happened with it. And you could even see him go, oh shit, that's.
Yeah. That's the next level of it. Yeah.
Anyway.
They emerge, right? The new chapters in your bits, your new paragraphs, they emerge. It's the best.
And for me, it's like, I need to talk to get it out. Like, I'm not like a sit at home and like I write the ideas. Like I need to be like, yo, I got this idea and what do you think about this? And then you have to like give me pushback on it. And then confronting that pushback is like where the bit develops for me. And that's the beauty of like the audience not laughing.
Well, that's why you like New York City. When you moved to Miami, you were like, it's too nice down here.
It was like life was beautiful. Everybody was caring about family and everything, and it was just so comfortable. And I was like, I didn't have any like resistance.
That's so funny.
Like I'm used to that chaos.
I need the opposite.
What do you mean?
Funny.
Your whole life is resistance. You're in the sauna, the ice.
With people. I don't want to deal with people's bullshit. I got my own bullshit.
That's
to deal
my
with.
ice bath.
Yeah, there it is.
People,
you just want to get out there and grind it out.
I do 30 minutes on the 6th train.
Right. Bro, we better have a bulletproof vest.
Yeah. Anyway, to what you were saying about like hope, that it is interesting, and I see that for comics, especially here, there's this idea of like getting on the show and seeing a pathway to success.
It's a real pathway. It's a real pathway to a career, and you've seen many, many, many people go through it, like Cam Patterson, David Lucas. These guys all have careers now.
Yeah, he had a funny bit too. Like
Cam's funny. Man. He's funny. Yeah. I think there's a little bit of a hindrance in that 1 minute a week because it's like you spend so much time working on that 1 minute that maybe you don't spend enough time tightening up.
So that's what
your
I asked
hour,
him.
whatever you have when you're on the road.
I was like, what you give this minute out, and it goes out to the whole comedy world. And that's what I was asking Ari. I was like, can you still do those bits? Like, because some of these aren't finished. They're just the fucking beginning of it.
Right.
Like, don't let those go. Like,
build on them. As long as you're building on them, as long as you got more to it and it's better now, I think people want it. I think also there's this understanding that those guys are on the come up and they're putting it all together. And I think there's a certain amount of times you do it where you got to eventually leave. I say that, but then there's William Montgomery, who does it every fucking week. And William's got this style that even if his jokes suck,
it's funny because they suck.
Even because he gets angry. He gets angry at himself. He gets angry at the crowd. And then it gets funny. Bro, have you been seeing Brian Holtzman lately?
No.
Oh, my God.
He's the sweetest guy, by the way. Shout out Brian, man.
He is so different than his onstage monster, the onstage Brian Holtzman. He needs a name and a different thing. It's like there's a different human that comes out when he's on stage. You would think that he's a complete psychopath in real life.
And he's just the kindest, sweetest guy.
He's wonderful. I love him to death. He's all hugs and joy and smiles, and he's always helping people to a detriment. Like one of the things about his show is we've had to like stop some of the people that he allows open for him because it's people that haven't done comedy in forever and still know him. And they're like, you think I could do a set? Sure, come on by. And then they eat dick for 10 minutes and the crowd gets tortured. So Adam had to put the brakes on that. But he himself is on fire. Shane and I were crying laughing watching his set last night. I mean, crying laughing.
Shane's so funny. He had the aux cord last night at Bitsy's. And like I didn't know who was putting on the music because it was just this like random collection of music. And then then this Fetty Wap song comes on, right? And I want you to be mine again, baby. And I look over at the bar and I just see him kind of mouthing it. I want you to be mine. I'm like, this motherfucker got the aux.
That's hilarious. He was locked in,
Bro.
Yeah, we all have good green room soundtracks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big thing. The
Yeah,
green
I don't
room
think
soundtrack.
anybody would guess your green room music. Like if they walked into your green room and they heard the music playing, there's nobody that would go, oh yeah, Joe picked this song.
Yeah, maybe.
Nobody.
It might be one or two songs that pop up.
90s like deep cut rap,
Yeah.
like deep, like KRS-One or something like.
Right. Coogee rap and the brand new
Yeah.
heavies. Yeah.
I remember the first time I came down here and it was like blasting, and I was like, "Yo, who the like?" I'm looking around like nobody's old enough to even know Cool G rap in this green room, and I just see you like bopping your head, getting ready to fucking go on. You just
Yeah, man. Death Threat with brand new heavies is my favorite before I go on stage song.
That's interesting. I don't know.
Oh man, you don't know that song?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my god. So the brand new heavies, and I found out about this song. I teared up when I was talking about Mitzi earlier.
Oh wow.
Still a little teary.
What were you thinking?
Oh, just her.
What was it?
Just her saying, all the inmates around the asylum. It just makes me cry.
Why?
Because that lady was like all the shit that I do at the club. Like I learned how to do it from her.
Yeah.
Like you learn how to like facilitate comedy, like to help comedy grow. I learned it all from her.
Yeah.
All of it.
It's kind of cool how people exist through us. You know, like obviously she's passed, but
Well, that's why the bar's named Mitzi.
yeah, but the effects live on.
I would have named the whole club Mitzi's if I didn't want to get sued by the family.
They would have.
I don't think they would have sued me, but no, they let me actually use the name for the bar.
Yeah.
And we have a picture of Mitzi in the bar too.
What was your guys' relationship like?
Well, I mean, she was still lucid when I met her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I met her in '94, and she was like super supportive. She just like, she just knew what to do, man. Like she knew how to set you up, and if she liked you, she would put you on after murderers.
Yeah.
I had to follow Martin Lawrence in the main room for like fucking weeks and weeks at a time. If Martin Lawrence was gonna headline, I was gonna go on after him.
What is
Martin Lawrence,
what is
you
the year?
understand.
I don't
94, 95.
Okay, so
You gotta understand, Martin Lawrence, people forgot Martin Lawrence. Let me tell you right now, go watch You So Crazy. Martin Lawrence
go
is,
watch Def Comedy Jam. The
Yeah,
greatest host of
yes,
Def Comedy Jam
yes. His timing, but his performances when it's his hour, his timing, his energy.
ever. Infectious.
Oh, he was so good. He was so good. And I used to eat shit going on after him every night. And Mitzi, no matter who was there, Dice Clay, Rogan, you're on after Dice. It's like whoever the fuck it is, I'm going on after him. She just knew how to throw you to the wolves, man. She knew how to like show you that your act is bullshit.
There's a couple guys like Attell did that for me in New York. Like I would close the late show at the Cellar, and Attell would go up, and then I would go up after him, and like that shit will turn you into a man. It'll
Yes.
humble you.
It'll
But
humble you.
You just realize when somebody's operating on like every single cylinder firing, and you get up after it and you're like, oh wow, I'm missing something. He has something that I don't have, and I need to find that shit. When you're going up in like the cushy spot, second or third, and you're killing, you think you're the funniest in the world. And then when you follow somebody that like levels the room, and the whole room is kind of unsure if he's just like inventing these things in the moment, if these are bits, like they just get caught up in this like tornado of creativity. And you got to follow it. And that shit, following him, following Mike Britt, following Greer, like following these guys that are just like masters. Yeah, it just turns you into a man.
That's why I started taking Joey on the road with me, because I couldn't follow him.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you love hard shit. You fucking love making your life difficult.
It's not even making your life difficult. It's realizing like you're not as good as you're ever going to get at this, right?
Yeah.
You have to get better. How do you
Yeah.
get better? You have to be challenged.
Yeah.
How do you get challenged? Know that you're going to follow Joey Diaz every night, 3 nights in a row, 2 shows on Friday, 2 shows on Saturdays.
This is. I feel like this is something that there's a lot of importance to this. And I don't know if comedians are doing this all the time, but like your openers that you take on the road with you, like they should really be pressing you. They should set the tone of the show, and they're going to set the expectation of the show. I think sometimes people want to save the day.
That's weak. That's that same bitch ass feeling like I hope the guy after me bombs. That's
Yeah.
the same bitch ass feeling.
Yeah.
I want the audience to have a great fucking time.
Yeah.
So I want everybody to kill.
I love when I get the message or tagged in a post on Instagram and it was like, all 3 of them were fucking great. And it's like, and also like, I understand what it means probably for them because I've been in maybe that situation where you're like, holy shit, like, yeah, they're bringing me up with the show.
Right.
And they're in a tougher spot than me. You know, Derek going up hosting, people are walking into an arena.
Yep.
So to kill that room, to like command attention while people are walking down an aisle.
And Derek's a perfect guy for something like that because he's got so much energy and he's so good at fucking around.
And just
he's so good
creating
at, like,
an energy of fun.
Yeah.
And Mark too is just fucking like crushing and like seeing them go up there and like really lay in.
Yeah.
Like hearing it before I go up.
Yeah.
Like that's the fun thing. Like I'll be locked in my room, but then when I come out like a few minutes before and just hearing them light up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to take strong guys, man.
Yeah. And it's the people have the weird fear of being eclipsed. That's the thing. It's fear of being eclipsed while you're opening act. But
you'll get better.
Get better.
You're
Just
good.
Get better.
Like you're headlining. Like you're clearly good at this. And it's going to make you better when these guys bust your fucking ass sometimes.
Yeah, maybe you're not working as hard as you should be working. Maybe you're not at your best.
And nothing will make you work hard than being embarrassed.
Right. Also, I don't know how you operate, but for me, I'm funnier if I'm having fun. So if I'm hanging out with, Ari and Duncan and Joey and we're all doing a show together, we are laughing our fucking ass off.
And that comes out on stage and you're loose and you're ready to get goofy.
And I'm laughing at Joey before I even go on stage.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there laughing at his act before I get up there. So I go up there, I'm already in a great fucking mood.
Yeah.
And the audience feels like they didn't get robbed. You didn't like throw some scrub up there for 20 minutes just to fill time so you could look like a superhero.
It's like they're paying money, man. I keep thinking about that. Like all these people that come out to a show, it's not just the ticket price.
Right.
It's the babysitter.
It's everything.
It's the Uber. It's the dinner. Like this is an expensive fucking night for them.
And they're looking forward to it. You might only get one date night a week, especially if you have family.
Bro, I was in not Seattle, like what's the other one in Washington? It's not Tacoma. Something more inland. Forget there's a comedy club out there. Spokane. This was years ago, and I did a show, and like a couple came up afterwards, and they were like, "This is our first night out in 8 years."
Whoa!
And I think about that every single time before I go on stage.
That's a good thing to think about. Yeah, like those people that are like really, but you don't take things for granted anyway.
No.
Some people get a little sloppy. You get a little loose and you take things for granted.
No, man.
We were talking about that on stage or in the green room the other night. Woody was backstage like, you guys get nervous? I'm like, I get nervous for every show. If I don't get nervous, I don't do as good. I get nervous. I get nervous for everything important.
Yeah.
And every show's important.
Yeah.
Like it's not important like my life depends on it, but it's important. Like it's important to me.
Yeah.
It's important to the audience. Like I want to do it right.
Yeah.
So I want to figure out what I'm working on. I want to sit up. I'm like, I got to be loose with this because this thing's still in development.
Yeah.
So let's fuck around with that a little bit, but we're gonna bring it back with this. And I'm going over my phone when I'm sitting back there before I go up there. I'm ready.
Yeah, you care.
If you don't do that, I don't think you achieve what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people like, I don't know if they pretend to not care or maybe like they think not caring is cool.
Yeah, that's
like,
what it is.
Caring's cool. Like
Yeah.
I really care and I work really hard and I think that you should work really hard. I want to make really great stuff I'm proud of, and I don't want to just be like, oh, it's fucking gay to care. It's like, no, it's not gay to care. It's gay. It's not gay to like have people come out and spend a lot of money, and then you just fucking flop on stage and don't give a fuck.
Right.
It's it's cool to like try to give them the best possible show.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
That's
it's
cool.
Like,
yeah.
It just is a thing because you do care, so you try to pretend you don't because the cooler people don't care. The cooler people just bomb. I remember I watched Bill Hicks bomb once. And I was so goddamn impressed. I was so impressed. First of all, he was very funny, but the stuff that he was talking about was so out there. He went on. There was this comedian, very nice guy, who went on before Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
His thing was comic on a Harley. That was his name, like his thing. I forget it. Larry something. Comic on a Harley. Nice guy, funny guy.
Yeah.
But he did like a lot of stuff about like Bugs Bunny smoking weed, like real simple stuff. Like, but it like made people laugh. Cops and donuts, like cliche shit, but good.
Yeah.
Like and killed and like just good enough for this blue collar crowd at Nick's Comedy Stop.
Yeah.
And then Bill Hicks goes on stage and he's smoking a cigarette and he's talking about I came here to fill you up with ideas you couldn't possibly imagine on your own. Like, and then
how did the Boston crowd take that?
Oh, they didn't take it good at all. He didn't just bomb. He cleared the room.
Yeah.
And he was doing this bit where Satan has sex with John Davidson, who is the host of That's Incredible. Like, Satan is fucking John Davidson, and then impregnates him, and then he shits out. I forget who he shits out. Like, different people at different times. But he's sitting on a toilet on stage, pretending he's sitting on a toilet, grunting, like, and then he looks up in the middle. Like, people are getting up in droves. Goes, yeah. This generally clears the room. It like gets right back to it. But I mean, never lost his timing,
right.
Never lost his composure. And it wasn't that it wasn't funny. It was me and Fitzsimmons were in the back of the room. Me and Fitzsimmons
You
were.
knew Greg from back in Boston?
Greg and I started a week apart from each other.
Get out of here.
We've been friends since we were like, I was 21. I think he was 22 or 23. Yeah. Yeah, we've been friends from the very, very beginning. Yeah.
Wow.
So Greg and I were both open micers at the time, and we just knew that Hicks was coming. We wanted to watch, and we sat in the back of the room. We were fucking crying, laughing. So there was like 50 people left, 10 comics, 40 savages who just thought this guy was genius.
Yeah.
And then the other 200 plus people, they all left. They all left.
200 is crazy to leave.
Bro, it was a bloodbath. Like half the crowd. More than half the crowd left.
Yeah.
No, it was like 3/4 of the crowd, probably.
That's a large percentage.
It was a large percentage. There wasn't much left, but Fitzsimmons and I fondly talk about that day. Like, he never lost his cool. He almost like I don't know when he knew he had pancreatic cancer, because he died a few years later. But he kind of seemed like a guy that, whatever the fear of bombing and whatever this thing of failure, that wasn't on his mind. It didn't bother him.
Yeah,
and I was like,
when you have limited time, that's not.
I wonder if that's what it was. I don't know if he knew already.
Yeah.
But he was so calm up there.
Yeah.
You know?
But funny.
Very funny.
Yeah.
But just, he changed the way people wanted to do comedy, because everybody after that wanted to be profound.
Yes.
Nobody wanted to be profound before that.
Yeah.
They just wanted to get big laughs.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to be profound.
Yeah.
You know? It was interesting. Like, he became like this poet.
Yeah.
You know?
You see trends like that pop up.
Oh, yeah.
Stylistically, people are so influential that, like, it changes the way people do their comedy. And it's tricky because, like, you can only be great at the thing you do. That's how I feel, at least, about it. Like, if you are profound, and then profound comedy is popular, then you will be really good at it. But if you're a silly goose,
right,
it's not worth trying to be profound.
Right.
Because you being silly is going to be the best version of you, and the people will appreciate that the most.
Also, you can't trick people.
They know. Even if they're not aware of it, they know.
They know something's off.
Yeah.
Something's off.
That's the honesty in it.
Yeah.
There's brutal honesty in it. Like, and sometimes they'll even laugh, but they know that you're lying.
Yeah.
You know, like, they know that it's not real. And, like, it exists for maybe 10, 15 minutes, but, like, I think it kind of gets exposed once you get into those hour-long sets.
Mm-hmm. It can, for sure.
You gotta be who you are.
Right. Yeah. And it has to gel together with you. You have to be into what you're doing. If you're not into what you're doing, you can't say the same words with the same inflection without the same mindset. Like, if your mindset is off, they fucking know, man. It doesn't matter what your timing is. They know. They know you're not locked in, so they're not locked in. Like, how come you didn't bring me in? You know?
Yeah.
Like, when someone's like last night when Holtzman was killing and me and Shane were laughing, we were locked into whatever this psychopath was talking about. He was talking about drowning people. I was like, he's so out of his fucking mind. It was so funny.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
But you give them that.
You
long
let them
leash.
take your mind for a ride.
If it's real to them. I think that's the thing about Joey that I've always admired, is like, it's pure, it's authentic. Like, you can kind of get away with whatever you want if it's pure.
Yeah.
And when we know you're faking and you're doing something that makes me feel uncomfortable, now I'm double uncomfortable.
Right.
I can be uncomfortable if it's real to you.
Yeah.
Like, I can sustain that. Like, you might be talking about some shit that makes me feel a little weird, but it's real to you, so I go, okay, I'm gonna rock with you on this. This is a pure version of your art. But yeah, you don't want to lie to people, man.
Yeah. Also, if you do it, then you're stuck. Now that's how you do art. You
Yeah.
lie to people.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to like concoct some new fucking weird version of yourself. What's gonna sell more? You're a pop music star now. Like what do you do?
Yeah.
Like what do you? That's what you're like. You like doing pop music comedy.
But there are people that like get attached to what works.
Yeah.
And then they can't run away. They're like scared to run away from it. And I kind of have empathy for it because it's like you probably struggle for so long. You find something that works and you're like, okay, finally I'm able to make some money. Finally I'm able to have some security. But you got to keep growing past it. You know?
I think generally those people are self-obsessed too. In a bad way, where
Yeah.
they're thinking about themselves and success rather than the thing they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, what is the thing I'm doing?
Yeah.
Well, the thing I'm doing is I'm trying to create something that's good, that
Yeah.
works. I'm trying to make it the best version of whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
So how do I do that? You can't be thinking about yourself and do that. That's why thieves can't write.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the mentality of being a thief is, I want that idea for myself.
Yeah.
It's not like, how
I
does
want
it-
to create. You're
Yeah.
not addicted to creating.
Right.
Which is like the coolest part about this. We get to
Yes.
create whatever the fuck we want. And if you get to a point, like luckily, where you get a couple bucks in the bank, those creations should be even more specific to you,
Yeah.
right? Because you're not doing it so you can buy another house, right? Like you're
Right.
doing it because you truly spent 20 years of your life trying to get good at something, and then you can create whatever the fuck you want.
And also those new things that pop out, they feel like gifts from the universe. Like a new bit that's a banger. It's like, where did this come from? This came from the universe.
That
Like,
shit exists before you. That's what I always try to say. Like comedy is there, and then we
You gotta
stumble.
find it.
Yes,
Yeah, you gotta find
You're
it.
not. You're not making it, and when you're making it, it feels too contrived. But the comedy exists.
Bro, I gotta pee so bad.
Let's do a little
let's
pee.
pause real quick.
Yeah.
We'll be right back and pee.
Are we back in?
Yeah, we're back, dog. We're back.
Yeah. Comedy's great.
Comedy's the best job on earth for
It
us.
really is.
For us. You know? I was
Yeah.
trying to talk Woody into doing it last night.
I mean,
Because he was thinking about it. Because apparently I said, I will 100% help you. He goes, would you really? I go, 100%. I go, if you want to do comedy, I'll get you time. I'll work with you on material. I'll get guys to help you. I'll work with you. Look,
Yeah.
you could totally do it. I go,
Yeah.
if you could do that monologue on SNL, you
Yeah.
could do stand-up.
yeah,
You could do stand-up.
brave for that monologue.
Yeah.
He's a brave guy
Yeah.
because he has a lot to lose, perception-wise. Like maybe he doesn't care, but that's where like bravery comes in. Like when you got nothing to lose, it's like yeah, you can kind of say whatever the fuck you want. It doesn't really matter.
He's kind of grandfathered in.
Oh, really?
He's Woody Harrelson.
But you don't think it could affect him at all? Like his
Yeah,
standing
it could, but
and-
I don't think anymore. I think the world's kind of woken up the fact that, first of all, he's accurate. Like, you really can't attack what he's saying.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So, like, you don't think he should be saying it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's kind of debatable.
Yeah.
And that's on you.
Yeah.
I think he can say whatever the fuck he wants in that regard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like, at this point, it's like, who doesn't think he's accurate?
Yeah.
Like, you're in denial if you don't think he's accurate. This is a problem that Democrats have right now.
What's that?
Is that the Trump administration, what they're uncovering with Doge, like all this waste and fraud and abuse, whatever you want to categorize it as, and I'm sure there's a bunch of things that fall into different categories.
Yeah.
But the Democrats aren't acknowledging that it's a problem at all.
Well,
They're not
here-
saying when you find this building in San Antonio that they spent $2 billion on it, it's completely empty, and it's getting $1 million a month or whatever the fuck it's getting, and where's that money going?
Yeah. The tricky thing about this, the Doge thing is like there. I don't think there's any American out there that is supportive of waste, fraud, and corruption. It should be a bipartisan issue, right?
Right.
Like it's a very easy thing to get on board with.
Right.
And this is where I feel like Elon's being a little antagonistic. I have a lot of respect for Elon, don't get me wrong, but like it's becoming easier to be a bipartisan issue in the way that it's communicated. Whereas like having that like political decorum, like having that ability to pull everybody into this thing might be a little bit more effective on an issue that we can all get behind. There's no American that wants waste, fraud, and corruption. I hate that this is becoming bipartisan. It drives me fucking crazy because on the surface, nobody wants the waste.
Right.
Like both Democrats should be. They shouldn't be booing or whatever the fuck was happening at that like hearing last night. Even hearing, he was like addressing the Senate.
Right.
This shouldn't
State
be.
of the Union.
It should be everybody going, hey, we agree this is fucked up. This is happening in some of our regions or whatever it is, like where you're responsible for those constituents. What's that called? If you're a congressman, your district. we need to be better about this. We need to fix this. We got to take this on the chin, and we agree. And it could be this great revolution in America that could really support everybody. And it's become this fucking bipartisan issue. And I understand there's like a lot of currency and like making the opposition look radioactive. I get that. But this is where you wish that there was like this some sort of masterful communication version of this instead of a little bit more of like this like putting the knife in and twisting it a little.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree on both sides. I think people are really foolish spending all their time just attacking the ideas of the other party instead of promoting really good ideas of your own.
Amen.
And the thing about this whole Doge thing is it's such a lightning rod. And one of the reasons why it's such a lightning rod is because these politicians are being pressured to try to keep a lot of the spending, because a lot of the spending it's all shenanigans. It's moving around to thousands of different NGOs, and you're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars that were going somewhere. So people were profiting, people had jobs, and they want to keep all those jobs. They want to keep that money flowing in, even the bullshit money, as much as they can. So there's fucking court orders, and there's lawsuits, and the Supreme Court just stopped a $1.9 billion freeze on something. There's something that just came up. It was today. So there's like legal battles about all this stuff. You're going to have a lot of confusion in that regard. But I think it's important. One of the things they're doing is they're highlighting the ridiculous things. Like they're highlighting the $250 million on transgender animal studies.
Yeah.
And $4.7 trillion that they can't account for.
The way that he was saying it. Did you watch it? I mean, it's hilarious.
I didn't.
Oh, you got to watch him talk about it.
I'm sure it's amazing, and I will watch. I just didn't have. I was busy last night, but it's like there's also a way to really clearly express to people that there's legitimate use for aid, and that this isn't really U.S. aid. It's United States Agency for International Development. If you're worried about foreign aid, I fully, completely agree. We should spend money in third world countries building wells. We should spend money trying to get food to poor people.
And that's not what this program is.
Right, that's not what this is about. Yeah. And if it's about like
this is exercising
healthcare for
power.
people and providing free clinics for people in impoverished areas, yeah, we should spend on that. But also, that's not where this money's going. A lot of this is regime overthrowing money.
Yeah.
This is regime change money. A lot of this is like money that's being propped up. They're sending money to the Taliban every fucking week.
Right.
Like, this is crazy. Like, you have to understand what this really is. So what we have to do, I think, as Americans is, look, you got a president. He's your president, whether you like it or not. That's your president for 4 years. Let's hope he does a great job.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want him to do the great job?
Yeah.
He's the captain of the ship. I don't want to hit the rocks.
Yeah.
Let's hope he gets us into a beautiful harbor.
Absolutely.
So together, that doesn't mean the Democrats can't win in 4 years, but you can't win doing this. You can't win all saying this shit ain't right, and then all of you say the exact same thing. Well, now I know who's on the take. Now I know who's got the script. Now I know who doesn't have a fucking mind of their own.
Yeah.
You have to read the script that whatever corporate daddy filed onto your desk.
It's think tank politics.
They need a real leader, and those real leaders are all pussy hounds, and they're all gonna. That's the problem. They all got skeletons.
Yeah, it's got to come from outside. Yeah, I wonder, like,
or they got to be a guy like Trump who could take the hits.
That's
and keep on trucking.
You need to have like a very strong constitution to do that.
I don't understand his constitution.
What do you mean? You go through the same shit.
Yeah, but his is beyond. They shot him, dude.
Yeah, they haven't shot you yet.
Not only did they shoot him yet,
you perform inside. That's the problem.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
But not only did they shoot him, but people forgot about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And to this day,
moving right along. He didn't get shot enough.
To this day,
like people were talking about his ear.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, but it doesn't look that shot." And it's like,
there's so many people that think that he rigged it, that he did it on purpose, that he staged it.
Yeah, he staged a bullet coming,
nicking his ear. They don't understand accuracy.
Come on.
Especially with iron sights. You know, he didn't even have a scope on the rifle.
So
iron. Do you know what iron sights
No.
are? Okay. So like, say if you have a pistol.
Yeah.
At the back of the pistol, where the handle is.
Yeah.
There's these.
Oh, the little thing that you're
plate
supposed to
like
look
this,
through. Yeah.
And then there's a little post at the front, and you line the two of them up like that.
Yeah.
And he's shooting 140 yards with iron sights.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just nick someone's ear.
Yeah.
You'll hit their fucking head. You'll blow their brains out accidentally.
How much do you have to account for gravity at that distance?
You don't.
Okay.
That's really short. That's a short distance. That's why you can like put the post on it. If you wanted to go long distance, then you would want a scope. You want a high-powered scope, and you would also use ballistic software. Ballistic software is like you would apply. Like there's like a watch that has it built in, actually. The Garmin Tactics X.
Okay.
Tactics 8, rather.
Shout out Garmin.
So you would take this ballistic software, you calculate the distance. So you would use a rangefinder, which he had, by the way. He had he was walking around with a rangefinder before they saw him with a rangefinder. They didn't even arrest him. Somebody let him on that roof. They fucking gave him that gun. That's what I think. The rangefinder would say, 500 yards. Yeah. So then you would set your sight for 500 yards.
And then it adjusts accordingly when you're looking. Yeah.
So your application with some scopes, you can actually sync up your scope with your app. So it'll put the reticle, it'll put the crosshairs exactly where you need to aim.
For the bullet to drop.
Exactly.
Got it. That makes sense.
So the reticle, the X would move up and down.
Accordingly,
yeah. Exactly.
But at that distance, you're saying that there isn't too much.
No, there's no. And he's also
drop.
elevated. It's a straight shot. It's a I mean, maybe a very slight drop because it's only like a millisecond before it hits him. It's a very slight drop at that. But when you get to like significant distances, like 400 yards, 500 yards, it's a factor.
Yeah.
Like you hold high. Like say if you have.
What does that mean, hold high?
So if you're zeroed, say if I'm shooting a deer and my rifle's zeroed at 100 yards, that means at 100 yards it shoots exactly where that crosshairs is. But the deer is 300 yards, I'll hold it at the top of his back.
Because you know it's going to come down.
I know it's going to drop.
This is with bows or this is with
No,
bows?
this is with a rifle.
And then with bows, I imagine it's even more.
With bows, you have to be very, very sure because there's so much drop. There's so much drop. Yeah, there's so much drop. Like I have a rangefinder that's not just a rangefinder. It's called a full draw. It's a Leupold Full Draw 5. And what it does is it doesn't just put the reticle and tell me the exact distance. It says I'm not aiming with this. This is just giving me the distance. But it also shows me a line where the peak of the arrow height is because the arrow arcs, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm shooting through trees sometimes. Like I'm trying to shoot an animal, and I'm shooting through a gap in the trees.
So you have to make sure that on the drop, it passes through that gap in the tree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like there's a video of me hunting with Cam. We were hunting in Utah.
Okay.
And it was for Under Armour, back when he was with Under Armour.
Yeah.
And I had to shoot this elk through trees. I shot it through, like it's a video. You can see the arrow go right through this. It's probably one of the most beautiful shots I've ever made.
Yeah.
And I made it on camera because I was kind of freaking out. I got to have a hunt on camera.
Yeah.
Like hunting is a big thing for a celebrity to be doing. You're hunting, but you're also going to hunt on camera, and you're going to hunt on camera with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
So I was like super locked in.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. It was just magical how that arrow went right through this gap.
Yeah.
Just thread the needle and whop, right in the heart. It was perfect. It was a perfect shot.
Yeah.
Like exactly where you want. Right behind the shoulder, right up here. It was like double lungs in the top of the heart. Ooh.
Fuck.
Ooh.
And then you got to carry that bitch.
Yeah, well, you got to chop it up first. You're not carrying it.
That's
too
the
big.
thing. That's the thing that like I never accounted for. I was watching. I don't know if it was some video you posted or maybe it was Cam, but like I always thought about the hunting part. Like, okay, let's find it, let's track it, let's shoot it. But I never thought about getting home with all the meat.
Oh yeah, man.
That seems so.
It's very hard.
Brutal.
And what we do is way easier than what some guys do. Some guys do public land, solo, backpack, elk hunting.
So they're throwing the shit in the backpack.
They have a pack, so they'll take like a pack, like great pack is like Exo Mountain Gear, so a great company that makes packs, and they have different frames based on your height. It's all made so you can carry a lot of weight on your body. A lot of it sits on your hips, and it's all like
it displaces
engineered.
the weight, so you're not just getting dragged down.
And if you say, pull up like Exo Mountain Gear backpacks, like they have specific packs that are designed so you can carry 100 pounds on your back, like as comfortably as you can. But it's fucking brutal.
Yeah,
so these guys might hike in. I'm no bullshit.
Miles, right?
So that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So see all these packs. So get the picture of those guys when they have it on their back, Jamie. The one above that. Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
So that's what it would look like for two dudes who are carrying their whole camp on their back. So they probably have their tent in there. They have their sleeping bag in there. They have food in there for a week. Like you got freeze dried food. Generally speaking, guys bring like there's a bunch of different meals like Mountain Ops or not Mountain Ops. So like there's a bunch of different companies. So like this is a guy like carrying an elk quarter on his back.
Yeah.
That motherfucker probably has 100 pounds on his back right now because he has his bag and his pack, which is probably 50 pounds, and then he has a giant ass elk leg on his back.
All right, so is there ever like a distance that they deem too far because walking back with the elk, it wouldn't be worth it? So like I imagine you're tracking for a while. It's not like you just walk in and there are all the elks, right? You have to find them.
Yeah, but you can get lucky and find them a couple of miles in, and that's pretty nice.
But is there a point where you go, I'm not going more than 5 because 5 back carrying the elk would be too difficult?
Yeah, some guys do that, but some guys are hard fucking core. But like they'll kill an elk 25 miles in and spend 3 days bringing it back.
So, and now you have elk carcass.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the other animals that also
You got to
like
string
to
it up
dine
in a
on
tree.
elk.
You string it up in a tree.
Got it. So
Yeah.
getting it, it's like, what is that? Old Man in the Sea? Is that the book? Where like he finally hunts and gets this big fish, but he's got to bring it back. And by the time he brings it back, it's just like a skeleton. Nobody believes he got this amazing big fish. But like, I can't, like, you don't ever think about the journey back.
Yeah.
That seems almost more stressful.
Well, the best way to do it, the backcountry, if you have the money, is horses. They have horses take you back there, and the horses will pack, or mules.
Yeah, so you can pack them up with.
They'll keep your camp on their back.
Yeah.
Right, and you'll have like several, like a train of them.
Yeah.
And then you could load them up with like elk quarters and
Yeah.
take them back. And for them, it ain't shit.
It's thousands of pounds, right? Like,
Well, it's not really.
how much is an elk?
It's about 400 pounds of meat.
Oh, because you're leaving the bones and everything.
You're
there.
leaving
so
a
you skin
lot.
it, you cut it up, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
But you got to take some of the bones. Like you want a rib, right? Like there's if
You
you're
could
cooking
have the
these
ribs.
things-
Most guys cut the rib meat out of the ribs, and you grind it, make hamburger or
Okay.
chili out of it or things like that.
Yeah.
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 Cam, he like makes strips and then chops those strips up. Like there's a lot of different things you could do with rib meat. It's pretty tender. It's good. It's real good when you cook them like slow over a fire though. It's not the most tender meat. Like when you cook them over a fire, it can get pretty tough unless you do it like real low and slow, like smoking it almost like they would do
Yeah.
with barbecue.
Yeah.
But it makes great hamburger. But like the what everybody really loves is like the back strap. That's like essentially that'd be like the filet mignon,
right?
the tenderloin, and then the quarters. You make great steaks, and you can make.
What do these guys do when they age out of this? Like
Oh,
what
like
is
hunting?
like yeah.
You try not to keep working out.
But like an NBA player eventually reaches the end of his professional playing ability. He might play in a gym, but like what does a Cam do at like 75? Well,
He'll still
hunt,
be bow hunting at 75. 100%.
but hunt a different thing.
No, he'll be doing the same thing.
There's
I
physical
think
limitations, I imagine.
There are, but not as much anymore. Not
Because
with
you
like
can
hormone
carry-
replacement and
Oh,
weightlifting.
got
and
it, got it.
You know, like guys like me didn't exist 30 years ago. Like 57-year-old jack dudes.
Yeah.
They didn't exist.
Yeah.
By the time you got 57, all that shit's gone.
Yeah.
And all that shit goes away. I still have 30-year-old arms. They're still legit. They work real good. Everything works real good. But you have to, maintain yourself, take care of yourself. And if there's something like that you care about, like I have a friend, Brendan Burns. He runs Kuyu. It's like a huge outdoor clothing company. He's a hardcore bow hunter.
Yeah.
One of the best bow hunters in the world. Was a big-time college wrestler, like a great athlete.
Yeah.
Won't even try jiu-jitsu because he doesn't want to hurt himself for hunting. It's like
Yeah,
hunting
so
is
everything
so
is built
important to
around
him. He's
hunting.
like, I'm not skiing. I'm
Yeah.
not fucking around. Fuck that.
I feel like that's my whole workout regimen is just so I could play this sport called paddle. It's not pickleball. It's called paddle.
What is this? What is this?
It's a racket sport that
Are
I'm
you
absolutely
serious?
obsessed with. I swear to God. It started in Acapulco, Mexico, and then it goes to Spain, and it gets blown up there. And it's essentially like squash and tennis mixed together. So there's walls. There's like this glass wall in the back, and these like fences on the side.
Have you heard of this, Jamie?
Yeah, I played with them.
Yeah, we played. I've dragged him out. Bro, it is
really fun.
it is the most obsessed. It's the fastest growing sport in the world right now. It will take over tennis.
Are you a spokesperson for paddle? Is that what's
I
going on
probably am the only person that is talking about it at this level.
at you.
This is me. This is shout out Paddle House in New York. They got one in Williamsburg and one in Brooklyn.
And
Amazing.
this is the game?
This is the game. I'm so
And you're
bad.
playing
It's
with tennis
unbelievable.
balls?
So you play with a deflated tennis ball. So
Huh.
essentially what it is, you got to show highlights because I'm so fucking horrible that it's not going to do it justice. But the idea behind it is, at least for me, is there's always hope. So the ball gets past you in tennis, you're cooked. The ball gets past you in paddle, it bounces off that back wall, and you're playing it off the back wall. So you're never fully out of the game.
Oh.
And you're constantly, it is the only thing outside of like surfing and boxing and then comedy where I'm not, look at this.
What?
It is,
That guy went out the door.
oh, you're allowed to leave and go get it. Yeah, I mean, it's just, dude, I was down in Miami. There's a thing called the Reserve Cup. Shout out Reserve.
Well, how
also.
do I not know about this?
This is I'm telling you, this will extend my life by, God bless, 10, 20 years.
Really?
Also, you got to watch the chicks play because they don't have the power to smack it out. So it's just pure skill and
And cleverness?
yeah, exactly.
And placement?
Everything is
Oh,
placement.
wow.
It's delicate placement. So what they're trying to do
wow.
is, I'm telling you, is unbelievable. And everybody that's playing tennis and squash and all these other racket sports is starting to convert to this.
Really?
Yes.
Tennis?
Everybody from tennis is coming over. Now I'm talking about professionals. I'm talking about like people that played like in college or whatever.
Really?
And now they're starting to come over to this. Like Miami, they're obsessed. In Europe, they're completely obsessed. Like you go to like Sweden, there's like thousands. Like all like Cristiano Ronaldo and all the soccer guys are all playing it. They own the facilities.
How the fuck am I just finding out about this for the
You
first
guys got
time?
one here. What's it called? They just built one.
Yeah, it's Paddle Club Austin or something.
Something like that. But it's just, it is, I'm upset.
Oh, it's just never ending.
Dude, I take lessons.
This guy just ran outside the arena.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
But the fact that there's hope, the fact is like it's not just brute strength. There's that little guy that was playing on the right there, Chingoto. Is this guy's like 5'3", and he's so skilled. And since it's not, he's not in this court, but that guy Tapia is the best in the world.
You know all the players?
I'm obsessed with this in the way that you're obsessed with jujitsu. I know,
Can't believe I'm just finding out
bro.
about this right
play
now.
with I got to play with some of these guys.
Really?
And they toy with me. Like they'll just bring me up to the net on drop shots and then bring me back to the end. And I'm just running around like a little bitch. But it's like, these guys to me are like Michael Jordan or like LeBron James. Like I get like giddy around them. I'm so excited. And like, I'm telling you, I'm taking lessons once a week. Shout out my boy Lucho in New York, the best fucking instructor on the planet right now. He works at Paddle House. He's incredible.
Wow,
And,
you're taking lessons.
I'm playing 3 or 4 times a week. It's like everything. Yeah, it's just my whole workout regimen is built around making sure that my shoulder is okay so I can play. The entire dedication to this. The only thing I've been obsessed like with this about is stand-up comedy.
Wow.
It's the only thing. And I have no racket sport background. I never played tennis growing up. Like I grew up in the city. I went to public school.
It does look fun.
Dude, it's
I
look
just
at
can't
look at
believe
it's
you
still
can run outside.
It's just
That's so crazy that you run outside. That's
the point isn't over. You
Right.
know what I mean? There's always hope. Like, and that's the beauty of like you're like a really competitive person. When you play against someone who's got more strength than you, even like when I would like box and shit like that, like somebody who was just like he was eventually if they can connect, it's over. And like even in this in power, you can mitigate their power. You can move them around the court. There are guys that are way better than me at tennis, squash, and all these other things. But strategically in this game, if you don't hit it out, I got a chance.
wow.
And it's just
You should do commentary.
Dude, I was telling the
Should do what
guys.
I do for the
literally
UFC.
told the guys, dude. I was telling Wayne, who owns Reserve, man. Shout out Wayne. And I was like, I know you have your guys doing it, but like, dude, I am obsessed with this, like Joe is with the UFC and MMA. Like, you don't need to pay me. Like, I just want to talk about the sport. Like, I want to build this fucking thing up. How do we build this thing up?
Wow.
And I literally
I
thought
never
about
seen you like this before.
Bro, I get dude, it drives my wife crazy. Like, I go to fucking brunch on a Sunday, and me and my boy Jason are just talking about our paddle games this week.
No.
Dude, it's my boy Jason just hit me up and he's like, listen, I know you got the special and everything going out, but my calf is feeling better, so we got a game Wednesday. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm ready.
That's
It
crazy.
is the coolest. It's just the coolest thing.
Wow.
I know you don't fuck with team sports, but this is.
It looks fun.
Oh, it's
It
just.
definitely looks fun.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
Jamie's a little sneaky athlete.
Oh, Jamie's a good basketball player.
But
Did
even
you see
tennis,
Jamie
too.
sink threes.
Yeah, he's sneaky. We had a little
You
fun.
see him play golf. He's a motherfucker with the drive. He's got that simulator in the back.
In your house?
What's the furthest?
Or here?
Right here. We
Oh,
have it
wow.
in the garage. What's the furthest you ever whacked one of those on
I
that?
mean, I don't know. Far, 300 yards, whatever.
Oh, wow. You're like a legit.
Dude, his swing is legit. You should have seen Brian Callen trying to swing after Jamie. It was comical because I'm behind him talking mad shit.
I just
you
know
ain't
how
gonna
much,
beat Jamie, bitch.
bro. The joy that must have come to you watching Jamie smoke Callan.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Anyway,
was
yeah, it's
joyful.
just, I'm so obsessed with it. Like
That's incredible.
even now, like just the idea that paddle is spoken about on the Rogan podcast is just crazy.
How about you told me about it? I never even knew it was a thing.
Oh,
if
dude.
someone brought it up to me, I'd be like, that's bullshit. That's not real.
Dude, it is real, and these guys are starting to make money now. Like the top guys are starting to make decent amount of money.
That looks like ESPN for sure. Like that looks like
Oh,
something
look, I had
that could-
Kamaro there.
Oh! Well, doesn't Kamaro have really fucked up knees? Don't ruin his knees, bro.
Yeah. I mean, but he played pickleball because he's down there in Miami. But
His knees are so fucked up.
yeah, it's.
I
it's
hope
tricky.
that if stem cell technology advances, if they, the FDA finally allows people to have the same kind of stem cells in America that they do in Colombia and Mexico.
Norway or is it Sweden? Where's the other place that they do it?
I don't know.
If you want to get some bougie, if you want the white stem cells,
I mean,
it's like Norway that they're harvesting them.
well, the places that I know of are the big one is the CPI in Tijuana. That's one of the best in the world.
Okay.
And that place is they have a partnership with the UFC. They send a lot of the athletes.
Oh,
down
really?
there. And there's another place in Colombia, BioAccelerator.
There's an island in the Caribbean that they do it too. That they like bring they like fly in the medical office essentially for the week or 2 week periods.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then they have like stem cells that have been harvested in some place. And my neighbor did that. So I forget which island it is, but
Well, there's Panama too. Reardon, Dr. Neil Reardon, who's he's written so many books and papers on the
Have you done
benefits
the
of
stem cells?
cell. I've done a shitload of them. Yeah.
and what is the like immediate impact?
Oh, it heals soft tissue way better than anything else that I've ever used before.
So like what, for example, what injury did you have that you felt?
The biggest one, I've talked about it before. I apologize if you heard this before, people. I had a rotator cuff tear, a full-length rotator cuff tear, and went to a doctor, the UFC's doctor. They sent me to orthopedic surgeon. He looks at my MRI. You can't believe I can do anything. He says, I can't believe you can do anything with this shoulder. Like this is you have a full-length rotator cuff tear. But he does all the stuff with me, like push down, push up, and he goes, like, you're pretty functional. He goes, I think it's probably because you have a lot of muscle around the joint, but he goes, but you're going to need surgery. He goes, you could try to rehab it, but you're going to need surgery. I go, really gonna need surgery? He goes, yeah. I go, am I ruining my shoulder by not having surgery? He's like, potentially. He's like, try your best rehab, put it off as much as you want, but you're going to need surgery. So then I go to Dr. Roddy McGee in Vegas, and this was years ago. He's doing stem cells with the UFC athletes. He's a bunch of different people. He's like, well, we could try it. And I think the stem cells I got them actually aren't even available anymore because they were too good. So they inject it in my shoulder, and then after a couple of weeks, it feels pretty fucking good. And then I rehab it. I'm doing like bands and all sorts of different stuff. I get it to the point where it starts feeling good. I start light kettlebells, feeling pretty good. I go back to him 6 months later. He does an MRI. He says, this is the most astounding thing I've ever seen in all my years of being an orthopedic surgeon. He goes, the tear is gone. Like you just wrote this full-length rotator cuff tear that was going to need surgery doesn't exist anymore. Like when I say like my shoulder is better, I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. Like at all. I do everything. I hit the bag. I do kettlebells with 70 pounds. I do swings and curls and cleans and presses. Zero pain. Not a one thing like, man, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. It like feels 100% normal.
Yeah.
And all stem cells. Like I could have got cut with a sling.
And then you're done.
Didn't do any of that.
I have a little bit of a shoulder issue actually. I'm curious if the stem cells.
100%. I'll bring you to Ways to Well. It's in Austin. Listen, man, they've healed so many people that I'm friends with.
I had a
so many guys that I
like
know.
like minimal scapular movement. I think that was the issue. So I was making up for the fact that my scapula doesn't move that much with just stretching out the muscles around it. Does that make sense? So like I guess that the scapula is this bone here.
The scapula is the one that kind of like hangs off.
Yeah, and like that's supposed to move up with your arm when you extend it. And it was staying there, but I was still moving my arm. So I'm stretching all, I guess, the muscles or tendons or whatever.
What had happened to your scapula that made it freeze like that?
I don't know. Like I was told that I might have like a small tear in the rotator cuff.
Do you hang? Do you ever hang from your hands?
I mean, I do like pull-ups as part of like my exercise routine when I'm doing any upper body.
Pull-ups are great exercise, but hanging is great for shoulder health. So what I do every day for at least a minute, usually more. I usually do like a couple of sets of hangs before I do anything. But like, I'll do my warm-ups with like push-ups and bodyweight squats, and then what I do is I chalk up my hands and I grab a hold of the bar and I just hang. And I just try, and I feel my back popping, like it decompresses your back because your spine, like the weight of your hips and your legs is pulling on your spine for the first time. Normally, life is pushing down on you. Gravity, the weight of your body is pushing down.
Wow, and now you're using gravity to pull it all out.
Yes. So I do that. I hang that way, and then I also do that Dex. We have a machine out there. Teeter, the company that makes those things where you hang by your ankles.
Yeah, I've seen it.
They have a great one where it's called the Dex. I like it better than the ankle one, where you hinge at the hips and you fall forward, and then it's basically like your lower body and your hips are carrying, like locking your weight in place, and you're leaning forward, so the full weight of your upper body is decompressing your back, and I'll feel it going like pop, pop, pop. I'll feel like little pops in my back, and I stretch it and I move on that thing, and it's all just about keeping the spine pliable and keeping the range of motion in your spine, but also in your shoulder joints.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things for shoulder joints is to just hang, and I'll hang with one arm sometimes, I'll hang with both arms, but I'm just like letting it all stretch out, so it stretches all the mobility of your shoulders and create space in there, allows everything to move freer, and then I'll do my chin-ups. So I do my sets of chin-ups.
So that's
dips,
your stretch,
pull-ups.
essentially.
Yes.
Okay, maybe I have to add that in. Yeah.
I also stretch on a bar where I grab the bar and I turn like this and I get it like that, and I get like a deep stretch that way and I get a deep stretch the other way. And
I'll do that on my back on the ground.
You should also do these things called crossover symmetry. Is these bands, and they have varying resistance, like different colors or different strength of resistance. You don't even need a lot of resistance. The whole idea is just you're working the tendons and all the connective tissue, and you're just doing all these like different shoulder exercises. And so they cross, like one is attached to a post over here and the other one's here. So I'm doing these and I'm doing these, and I'm pinning them against my arm, and I'm doing it like that, where I'm just working the rotator cuff muscles, and just to keep everything.
You're creating the torque on the joint.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, when you're lifting weights, you can kind of manipulate what part of your body is lifting.
You can, and that's how you get injured sometimes, too.
Yeah, I got to do because that's my biggest concern right now is, I mean, to bring it back to your friend, is
paddle.
How do I play?
That's so crazy.
Like, everything I do, I do PT twice a week. Shout out my boy Mike Helgeson. He's fucking great.
You do PT twice a week?
Yeah, it's like I'm lifting, but I'm with a guy who is a PT, so if there is an issue, we can...
Oh, I see.
But he'll just take me through weightlifting if I'm feeling good, and if I'm not, then we're doing some work. And
have you been able to increase the mobility of your scapula?
Dude, yes, and my shoulder was fucked before, and he brought it back. Him and this guy Kyle were like, don't do surgery. Like they were like, once you do surgery, you're fucked. And so let's try to work this thing out by building muscle around it, getting mobility into the joint, and like they brought the shoulder back. Like this was before I ever played paddle.
Let me say one thing real clear. That's not always true. I know a lot of people that have had successful shoulder surgery.
Okay.
And in some cases, that's the only thing you can do.
To save yourself.
Yeah. There's like Yuri Prohaska, the UFC former light heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
His shoulder was blown apart. They had to put it back together again.
Yeah.
They had to.
And so incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
I mean,
that Jamal Hill fight.
Unbelievable.
Holy shit.
Unbelievable.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So for a situation like that, shoulder surgery was necessary. His shit was torn apart.
Yeah.
You can't just heal that with stem cells, but there are things you can heal with stem cells, and it definitely helps soft tissue injuries in a way like nothing else I've ever used.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's legit. And Brigham Bueller, who's the CEO of Ways to Well, he's worked so hard on He's been on this podcast a bunch of times, and Tucker's podcast, a bunch of podcasts, just talking about all these different methods that are available that are being stifled by the FDA.
And that's the thing is like once you get something that you're addicted to, longevity exercise or regimens or whatever it is are very easy to do. because you're not really doing them so you can live to 100. You're like, how do I play this thing next week?
Right.
And
right.
all the motivation comes from it. It's really simple. Like, I actually can't wait to go do the PT, whatever it is, because I'm like, okay, I have a game Wednesday and I want to be good to play. It sounds ridiculous. I'm 41. I'm not going pro at this thing, but I love it so much that I would literally, I'm looking up the fucking BPC 157. I'm like, do I need
Peptides.
the Wolverine shit that they say, right? And it's
yeah.
like, do I get that so I can recover faster?
Yeah, get that.
Is it? Have you tried that?
It's legit. Super legit.
I recommended it to a buddy with no research. I was like, you should do this. And then a couple weeks later, he's like, I'm on it. And I was like, did you look up it? I'm not a doctor or anything. I said, I mean, you should look into this thing. But he said he did it for his he got an ACL surgery, and his doctor, he asked about it, and his doctor goes, I take it.
Well, that's a good doctor, because I've had friends where I tell them about it, their doctor says, oh, you shouldn't do that. There's no studies that show that.
That's the thing. I feel like there's like old guard guys that are a little bit hesitant to use some of the maybe newer technology, and I'm sure they have their reasons. I don't know more than them about the science, but there are these new technologies that can maybe extend our playing age. Again, I don't need to be a pro, but I love this thing and I want to do it as much as I can. I want to get as good as I possibly can.
Yeah.
It feels good to be getting better at something at this age.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a reason why USADA didn't let people use it in the UFC, and now drug-free sport also doesn't let people use it in the UFC. It's because it works. It's efficient.
Wait a minute. Why would they not? Wouldn't it be advantageous for the athletes to be able to recover?
Exactly. It's really stupid. But the idea is that it's performance enhancing because it lets you heal quicker. So heal from injuries quicker, potentially heal from recovering from training quicker.
And what would their argument? I mean, the only argument I've heard is like it increases
unfair
cell
advantage.
growth.
Well, the idea is like keep everybody on a completely level playing field. How do you do that? No one's able to take anything. You can't take any performance-enhancing substances.
Or make it accessible to all athletes.
Well, I think that's
UFC.
the right way to do it. But the problem is that, okay, what peptides are we talking about? What about things like HCG, which radically increase testosterone production? Are you allowed to do that? Okay, because if you're allowed to do that, like, what level is that steroid?
Only recovery. I think any recovery drug, like, obviously there's risks to all this. Like, you increase cell growth, and if you have cancer, God forbid, in your body, those cells are going to grow as well, right?
There's an argument for that, but I think the real argument is, like, what's causing cancer, right? The real argument is, like, eliminating environmental toxins and the issues. Also, there's people that have genetic predispositions to cancer, unfortunately. But the real reality about cancer is, unfortunately, like, what you take into your body has a significant effect. Your diet has a significant effect. Exercise has a significant effect. And also, do you participate in any recovery activities like sauna, which is huge? They did a study out of Finland. Again, I apologize if you've heard this before. It was a 20-year study. They found people who used sauna for 4 days a week had a 40% decrease in all-cause mortality. All-cause, meaning heart attack, stroke, cancer, you name it.
Yeah.
40% decrease just because of the effects of sauna.
How do they test that? Like, where's the what is the term? The something group, like the group.
Well, this is what they did. They did this study,
control group,
randomized control trial, right? So they did this study where they took these people, and sauna use in Finland is everywhere. Everybody uses a sauna, and so they did it based on these questionnaires. Do you do the sauna once a week? Do you sauna twice a week? What temperature do you do the sauna, and how long do you do it for? And they determined that the people that did the sauna 4 times a week for 20 minutes at 175 degrees had a 40% decrease in all-cause mortality. Now, when you drop the number of sessions, you also drop the all-cause mortality survival.
Got it.
So, like, it's like 20% at once a week, 30%. So it's like that. Like, measurable differences in the amount of people that were healthy and robust who did it 4 times a week.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting because the easiest way to discredit would be like, well, yeah, the people that do saunas want to increase their life. But what you're saying is there's an increased amount of assistance if you do it more.
Right.
Wow.
The benefits are legitimate, real, measurable. It's hermetic stress. It's heat shock proteins that your body produces to deal with the fact that you're essentially dying. Like, you can't stay. Like, I do it at 196. You can't stay there very long. I do 25 minutes at 196.
Have you ever passed out in it?
No.
Okay. Is that a thing people do? Like,
I don't pass out.
get out the smelling salts.
I stay awake. No, you could though. Yeah, I mean, if you are the type of person who passes out, if you've got issues.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
some people pass out just from stress.
Yeah.
I watched a kid black out the other night, one of these school things that my kid had to go to.
Really?
Some boy fainted on stage.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes people just... Sometimes they just your brain goes too much. Check, please.
Bro, I've seen like I not passed out, but like I was having like breathing issues. I didn't understand what the fuck it was, and like my wife and I were trying to get pregnant. It was like really difficult because my sperm sucks, and I would have like I guess it was stress related. I didn't know what the fuck it was. Like I went to a doctor and I was like, I feel like I can't catch my breath, and I started doing these like it's like a Navy SEAL breathing technique or whatever.
Box breathing?
Box breathing, yeah. And I would try to do that. I mean, it was so weird. It wouldn't affect me on stage because once I'm on stage, I'm like locked into the performance. And that's how I knew it was all psychological. But like when I was off stage, there were times where I'd be at the cellar and I'd have to leave the cellar and there's this little park on 6th Avenue that's like not even really a park, but there's like benches. And I would just sit there and I would just fucking box breathe by myself trying to get a full breath. And I'd go to this doctor and I was like, what the fuck is it? And it was a stress-induced asphyxiation or something like that.
Wow.
And I was just so like...
What was so stressful to you at that moment?
We couldn't get pregnant. And like I found out my sperm sucked.
So it was that?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. And like...
See, that's where HCG comes in, actually, because that's one of those peptides that actually increases your sperm production.
Yeah, well, my sperm wasn't swimming. That was the issue.
Got to get those bitches in the pool.
Cold plunge.
That helps too. That's supposed to be good for your nuts,
bro. I hit up
Heat's
Huberman.
The worst, apparently.
Well, they said heat and cold. I like hit up Huberman. I was like, yo, what should I do? And he's like, all right, take these pills. And then the doctors were even telling me they're like, take these pills, and then also.
You got lazy jizz, bro.
Dude, I got the laziest fucking jizz, bro. It's no, you just wait for it. I go, I got to take the pills. They're like, don't drink. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna drink. They're like, don't smoke. Okay, I'm not gonna smoke. They go, wear baggy underwear. And they're like, ice your balls once a day.
Holla.
So I do that for a month. Or 2 months, I go get my sperm tested again. It got worse.
Really?
Yeah. And they're like, we haven't even fucking seen this. And yeah, so like we had to do IVF and everything. That's what the special is about. Like it's just this story of us trying to
There was
get
a
pregnant.
study, I think it was out of Japan, and what they were doing was they were getting people to cold plunge before exercise. So you cold plunge for 3 minutes, and then you exercise, and you force your body to heat up while you're working out. Mm-hmm. Massive increase in testosterone, to the point where this one guy, he had he got his prostate levels checked, and his doctor was like, "This is concerning.
Yeah.
Like, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to put you on this and put you on that." And the guy says, this is an article that's available online. This one guy tried this. He goes, okay, well, let me find out what's available online. Yeah. So he finds out cold plunging, does it. Yeah. And then... So here, this is the thing. Japanese cold plunge study, often discussed about cold. Immersing the wrist in cold water before exercise significantly increased testosterone levels in young Japanese men compared to immersing it after exercise, which suppressed testosterone levels, highlighting the importance of timing when using cold stimulation for potential hormonal benefits. So what this guy did was he plunged, not just the wrist, and then went to the doctor months later, and the doctor thought he was on hormones. The doctor's like, you have 1,100 testosterone. This is crazy. Like, what's going on? Yeah. And he tells him, I've been cold plunging before I lift weights. And the doctor's like, well, keep fucking doing that.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot. I do that now.
Really?
Yeah, I know a lot of people that do that now. This is how they start their workout. My workout starts with a cold plunge.
So my issue wasn't even the T. They were like, yeah, your T levels are good.
It's just the swimmers.
It was the swimmers. And then they were like shaped weird. Like, it's just like...
Bro.
Yeah, it was... Bro, no, dude, it was... it was too funny. I told the guy... this is... I don't even do this in the special or anything, but like I they were like, the shape is a little off or whatever. And I was... Because you're so defensive. I go, well, maybe when they hit the cup...
So hard.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm still trying to like, I got an ego about it. I'm like, bro, you should have seen the way they fucking, it's a car crash over here.
Bro, like, it's coming in at 400 PSI.
Yeah, but it was crazy. Once we got pregnant, it went away. And it was like, immediately went away.
Wow.
I could breathe again. And it wasn't this feeling that I couldn't breathe. It was about catching a full breath. Or, you know when you're like running and at the end of your or doing like a hard cardio intensive exercise, this idea like you can't get to 100% in your lungs.
Yeah.
And I never had experienced in my life like I can work pretty hard. Like I feel like maybe that's a competitive advantage of mine. Like I might not be the most skilled in certain things, but like I can go. I have a good motor. I can fucking push it. And it was the first time in my life where like a psychological issue affected my body physically. I didn't even know that was possible. And
I know that's happened to a lot of people I know that got canceled. People that got canceled where they were just overwhelmed, where they couldn't breathe, and they didn't think that they could make it. They were like, I can't do this.
Because they were going through that.
Yeah, they were going through it, like in the heart of it. And
Yeah.
they're like, you got to call up, check up on them, and make sure they're okay. I remember Tony. When I remember the fork in the road. I remember the curve I was driving on when I was talking on the phone to Tony when he was going through his first one.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is not good, man. I'm not doing good. And I'm like, fuck, man. And it was like, that was the moment where I was like, please don't kill yourself.
Oh, wow.
Like, you're going to get better.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine. Do not, I didn't say that.
But that's what you're thinking.
That's what I was thinking. And I remember being in my car going, ooh, like hearing him on the phone. We were on speakerphone. I was like, fuck, man.
Well, yeah, you dedicate your entire life to one thing. And then
But it's just like feeling like it's over. Everything's over. Your career's over. Your life is over, as you know, on one stupid thing, and now it's over forever. And just you can't breathe.
Yeah.
You can't breathe.
Yeah,
and,
I get it.
You know, Tony's tough. He's resilient.
Yeah.
He got through it pretty quick, and he was back. And then, a couple weeks later, he was laughing about it.
Yeah.
But some people, they get wrecked, and they're not the same ever again.
I think that does happen to people. And then there's a different version of them afterwards.
Yeah,
because they don't want to experience that again. It is weird. Like, I'm not as affected by that kind of stuff. Now, maybe I haven't gone through on that level, and I also think there's something about having a kid. Like, I just care less about I care the very few people I care what they think about me. It's like really liberating in a lot of ways,
Right.
But yeah, there was something about like, oh, are we not going to be able to get pregnant? And then like you feel horrible. You start like going, why would God not want me to have a kid? Like, did I do something bad? Like, you start thinking like if there's some sort of karmic reason for that shit. Also, before I knew it was me, I don't want to share it with anybody. It's really isolating because I thought it was my wife. Like, everybody always thinks it's the woman who's got a fucking problem with her eggs or whatever. And
that's such a bitch-ass dude thing.
That's what we think because we don't know it could be us. When did you ever, like, every time I looked at my sperm, it was fire.
Thing.
Like,
it couldn't be me.
It can't be me.
Look at the amount of fucking jizz I'm producing.
Yeah, I'm killing it, right? Like,
killing it.
Literally. So, and then you think about it, and I will say this, though, like finding out that it was me and being able to, I felt more comfortable talking about it on stage because now I'm not talking about this incredibly embarrassing thing to this woman who does not want to be in entertainment at all, like the most private person. About me, I was like, oh, I can talk about this a little bit. And being able to talk about it on stage, and I would talk about it on stage, and like there'd be these dudes who would come up to me after shows, and they wouldn't admit they were going through it, but they'd be like, yo, that was really funny, bro. Like, yeah, you should keep talking about that shit. And then I would like talk about it on tour, and I get these fucking DMs, and like all these people would start telling me that they're going through IVF, and like even close friends start to be like, yo, actually, that's how we got pregnant. And I didn't realize it was this like almost like last taboo thing where there's this incredible isolation in it because you don't want to feel the judgment. There's all this pressure to obviously have a family. You don't want to feel like you're the person that's like stopping that. But I didn't realize, and I'm 40, so a lot of older people are probably going through this. Maybe young people are not, but like everybody in my immediate circle going through this shit.
Let me ask you this. Like, first of all, when did IVF become available to people? And how many people a year do you think use IVF? And if they didn't, how many less people would there be on Earth?
Brother. This is, like, there were three things when I talked to Trump that I wanted to ask him about specifically. And one of them was securing IVF. Because I know a lot of people who are against abortion also look at IVF and they're like, okay, you're throwing out embryos, you're killing people or potential people, and they want to use the anti-abortion argument to get rid of IVF. And
really, is that a thing?
Yeah, of course, it's happening now. And what Trump said on the pod,
who's trying to ban that?
I guess we could look that up. I think that it was in. There's a few states that it was happening in.
That seems insane.
Yeah.
Why would you not want more people?
Well, they look at it as killing people because life starts at conception, and the embryo is essentially conception. Which, like, I understand your logic. I don't disagree with the logic behind that, but at the same time, that is the only way some people can get pregnant, and I will give
There it is. Senate Republicans block IVF bill as Democrats elevate issue ahead of November election.
But what I'll say is Trump said that they're going to back it with the full power of the Republican Party, and that anybody that goes against it, that they would campaign against. And then he even signed that executive order to expand it. He wants to expand access to it.
Oh, that's great.
Which is fucking, it's incredible.
Well, for people that want to be parents, man, I know quite few people like yourself. They want to be parents so bad, and that gave them the ability, and now they're so happy.
And it's the most incredible thing in the world.
Yeah, and if they don't do that, guess what? There's no babies. It's like more life will occur if you allow this.
Also, we got to deal with the downstream. Like, I'm sure some of this shit is probably it just might be genetic. I don't fucking know. But maybe it's microplastics all in my balls. Maybe it's my phone. Like, there's a lot of things that are not in our control that are negatively impacting us. And then to restrict our ability to have a family,
sure,
I feel like it's kind of unfair. You have bestowed this thing upon me that has affected our ability or some woman's ability.
I wonder
to
if
conceive.
it's like more prevalent, the issue or the necessity of it with people that live in cities.
Oh, dude, every time a car breaks,
yeah,
the amount of microplastics that go into the world are way more than using like a plastic bottle to drink out of.
Yeah, brake dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's particulates.
Absolutely.
That's the shit that you wipe off your wheels when you clean your car.
No,
that stuff's in the air.
That.
You never washed your car?
Nope.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have a car until like a year ago.
What do you got now? Got anything good?
No, nothing. Well, I got a fun one. I got a Suzuki Samurai.
Ooh.
It's the coolest fucking car on the planet.
Those are fun.
They're so cool. It was
That's
sick.
a good car to park in the city, too. You don't give a fuck what happens to that thing.
Well, I got it out in the Hamptons, but yeah.
What year is it?
It's 87?
That's such a piece of shit.
Oh, it's a piece of shit, but it is like, it's also just so fun. Like, I'm not trying to compete with you on like having like a fancy car or whatever like that. I just love how fucking rugged. I don't care.
You got
Throw
some
shit
dough.
in the back.
I gotta turn you on to some fucking fun
You
rides.
know the good shit. Like,
yeah, you gotta learn it. You gotta learn the appreciation of cars.
I got my yeah, there it is. Oh, there are the boys.
Look at that
Look
thing.
at the boys.
That thing's fun.
Oh yeah,
What
look
a
at these
cute
guys.
little car.
Isn't it adorable?
I wouldn't take that thing around the block.
But wait, you're saying you wouldn't get in that car with
Trust it.
with six?
I'd go with you guys.
With 6 guys?
Yeah, I'd go with you guys.
Shouldn't that be on the cover of every gay magazine?
It should be.
I mean,
Like, if you take this pill, this is what you'll have. You'll have fun with your friends on the beach with a Suzuki Samurai.
it's so much fun, and they're reliable as fuck. That's the thing about them.
Every Japanese car is reliable.
Yes.
They're the best.
That's the thing
best.
about Japanese culture is that like it's refinement culture. So like, I feel like they're anytime. So there's this Japanese DJ I saw. His name is Yosuke Yukimatsu. Okay, he had like brain cancer, and then like he thought he was gonna die, so he was like, "Fucking, I'm gonna be a DJ with the time I got left," and it went into remission. But he basically quit his construction job. He just did this boiler room set, and it is just like I could be like putting this energy on it because I want to believe it or whatever. But the intensity of it is, this is my shot, and I'm gonna be unrelenting, right? And the second I saw that he's Japanese, maybe this is my like, this is the guy.
Look at him go.
But can you, like, look at this motherfucker. A Japanese person being a DJ, before I even listened to the set, I was like, oh, this is going to be the best set I've ever heard. Because they would never put themselves out there and do it half-ass. Like every 30-year-old model in America is like, I'll be a DJ now. But in Japan, the culture is so like, don't bring shame upon your family. Don't bring attention to yourself unless you are the greatest.
Do you know the term Kaizen? Do you know what that means?
No, what is that?
Kaizen is a Japanese term for taking a thing and continuing to refine it until it reaches perfection.
Yeah.
So Japanese, first of all, like supercars were always Italian. It was always, German, Porsche, Ferrari, that kind of shit. And then Nissan created a car that destroyed everybody.
What was it?
The GTR. So the Nissan GTR, they've essentially been making the same exact car, just refining it for like 20 years. I have a 2024 Nissan GTR Nismo, which is their race package one, which is the most refined version of the GTR they've ever. And it's a fucking marvel of engineering and refinement.
Yeah.
That fucking car is magical.
Yeah.
It's just glued to the road. You ever seen one? Do you know?
No, show me.
Pull up a black Nissan 2024 GTR Nismo.
But culturally,
Nismo.
they can't put out shit. It's shameful to put out shit.
Right.
And I feel like they're almost like done refining their culture, and now they're tapping into other things. Like
That's what it looks like.
Oh wow, yeah, it looks
It's
like
a spaceship.
What's the?
That's a Nismo 300. That's mine.
It looks.
That's my car.
What is
right
that
there.
Nissan Z? Was it Z300 or something like that? This came
yeah,
out when I was in
300Z.
college.
Yeah, 340Z. There's a bunch of those, but that's the GTR.
Yeah.
That thing, you're on a ride.
Yeah.
You're riding a ride everywhere. It whirs and clinks and clunks and.
Yeah.
It's so fun. That's a different one. That's a 300Z, a 370Z. That's pretty sick too, though. That looks good. But there's like a whole culture of taking these things. Like there's guys that make these things. They jack them up to 2,000 horsepower, and they spit fire out of the back of them.
But they do that with pizza. Like the best pizza I've ever had, and I'm from New York City, is in Tokyo.
Really? The best pizza you've ever had
is in Tokyo. I forget the name of the place.
Wow.
But my wife and I were in Tokyo, and but it was the best steak I've ever had is in Tokyo.
Really?
And it's something about like doing something half-assed, I think, is shameful. And there's this great honor in like this refinement process. Now there is a social cost to that. There's a rigidity, meaning like it's very. Here's a perfect example. Like the oldest hotel in the world, I think, is this hotel in Japan. It's like started in 703, the year 703.
Whoa.
And it's
I've seen that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been owned by the same family for 52 generations.
Right.
Which is like an unbelievable feat when you think about like American families or British families that like have gotten rich and then 3 generations they've squandered it all. Like really successful families, it's all been destroyed. And there is this thing in, I think, Japanese culture, which is like there's this great honor in taking on the tradition of your family. The cost of that is there was probably a comedian or a chef or somebody that in that line that didn't do the thing that they really were passionate about to honor their family. But the societal benefit is probably the majority of people don't have those dreams. And having purpose in this job is probably better for them. And I think there's a middle ground where you can still go dream and do these things, but also we have some respect for being a cobbler when your dad was a cobbler and his dad was a cobbler. I feel like we've lost that a little bit in like American dream culture, where it's like if you don't go out and achieve your craziest dream, well, some people don't have that dream, but taking over their dad's business is something that they can feel good about and honor instead of like, oh yeah, so I just took over the family business.
Well, doing a good job at anything, there's a lot of value in that for everybody. If you love making shoes and you become a cobbler and you make awesome shoes and you got like Andrew shows up, bro, those shoes are sick. I love them. I want another pair, but could you make them in crocodile?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like making things and having relationships with the people you sell them to, that's super rewarding. We do chase that big dream over in America and make it seem like everybody has to have it. But the dream of making cabinets that are awesome is a pretty fucking cool
beautiful.
dream. Yeah, the dream of being a painter is a pretty cool dream. Like there's a lot of dreams that don't get the value added to them because of fame. Like we have this weird thing about fame above all in this country.
Fame above all, like moms, being a mom isn't really valued. Like,
oh yeah,
I think it's a real problem. I think that, and it's not all places. Like I'm sure there are places that are more like family oriented, where like being a mom is an honored, respected thing.
A lot out here, man.
I love that.
Yeah,
like I'm in New York, it's not that.
Right. Nor is it in LA.
Yeah.
In LA, a lot of the moms have jobs too. They have careers. They don't want to abandon their career.
They might shame those moms that decide to stay home and take care of their kids.
Oh yeah.
When, I don't think that's. It would be great if there was less rigidity and there was a lot of honor in that, and there was something we really respected. Because I know in New York, even my wife is like, she got her fucking MBA. She was working for Apple on AI projects. And then she goes, that's my dream to be a mom. And I feel societal scrutiny about it, but I don't fucking care because I want to be a mom.
You know who really gets the scrutiny? Stay-at-home dads.
That shit is gay. You're trying to lip pill me, Joe. What the fuck?
I want to see where you would go with it.
No,
I fed you one of them little racquetball balls.
Yeah, the paddle. It's paddle.
Paddle
Yes.
ball.
Yeah.
I fed you one of those half-filled tennis balls, and you fucking shoved it down my throat.
But yeah, I don't, that is the weird thing. It's like,
I know. As well as a male, you feel a real strong pull to be a provider.
we do.
It feels very important.
Yeah.
And it really, like, as you become a father and you raise children, it like really it gets instilled on you. Like, I always had a really good work ethic, but becoming a father made me have a much stronger work ethic. Like, if I was a single man with no responsibilities, who knows if I would work as hard? Who knows if I would take days off? I would fuck off. If my friends are like, hey, let's go bow hunting in Argentina. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the day off. Fuck it.
The biggest lie about having kids is that you won't be able to provide for them. I think a lot of people go, I just need to get my life ready to do it. It's like, no. That's going to put a battery in your back like you wouldn't fucking believe.
Hopefully. It's very sad when it doesn't. I've met
Those
men.
people shouldn't have kids.
Yeah, I've met men where they keep doing the same thing even after they have children, and you're like, oh my God, dude, you can't do this.
Did they want to have them?
Who knows? Who knows what if people want or if they think they want and then they have and then they don't change. Louis C.K. said something really cool once to me. He's like, when you have children, he's like, you just got to let it change you. Just let it change you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hold on to who you think you are and what you think your identity is. Just let it transform you. Adjust, because everybody adjusts. The mom adjusts. Now it's not your girlfriend anymore. It's not your wife anymore. Now it's a mother. She has a child. She made a human being in her body, and it's very vulnerable, and she loves it more than anything in this world.
Anything.
And it's this crazy experience that if you don't have, and you're on the outside, you look at it as like, oh, all that responsibility. Oh, fuck that. Oh, you're tied down. Oh, you got kids now. But it's another level of understanding what life really is. Because it's this constant cycle of new people entering into the world, and eventually you will leave this world.
Yep.
And hopefully you will leave this world better because you were here.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it's the coolest thing that's ever happened to me, and absolutely has transformed me.
I was super excited when you would become a dad.
Man.
Because I knew you were all in on everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd be all in on being a dad too, which is so important. It's just so important. Like, it's so weird that you're making a human being comes into this world that didn't exist before you and your wife had sex. And now there's a human being that's talking to you, and you're teaching them stuff. They learn things. You get to see them laugh and giggle, and you get to see them open up Christmas presents and screech in excitement. Oh my God, it's all the happiness that you get from other things just doesn't compare.
Pales in comparison.
Yeah, it's a different happiness.
Yeah.
It's a totally different happiness. And it's like an understanding of life itself. I've talked about this before, but I changed the way I think about people.
You told me this.
I think about everybody as a baby now. Everybody's a baby that became a 60-year-old man with big old wino nose. When they get those big, crazy fucking gin blossom faces, like priests.
Yep.
And I realized like, oh, this is this entity at this stage of its journey. But it used to be a baby. They used to be someone's cute little baby boy with a little bow tie on. Everybody thought it was so cute. Took a picture of him. Now here he is, bad breath and farting, big old pot belly, hating life, smoking Pall Malls.
Yeah, he had a lot of hope at one point.
That was a baby. Yeah, and what is, you have a lot of hope, but like, what is the impediment to you achieving a fulfilled life? And so many people don't even know where to start or where to begin or what to do or which way to go.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been trusting your instincts in your life and you haven't been taking chances, then all of a sudden you have to take one at like 35.
Yeah.
It's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
That's a muscle you build like endurance, You build the muscle of being able to take chances and do difficult things. You build that like all other muscles, like all other strengths and virtues that you have.
Yeah.
It's reinforced with use.
Yeah, every risk you take that is successful, you get a little bit more confidence in taking those risks.
Also, you understand what's required to make this venture successful. You'd have to look at it correctly. You can't be delusional. You have to be objective, and you have to do what actually needs to be done.
Yeah.
And some people don't like that responsibility. The responsibility
It's
of
terrifying.
yeah. And so they've sabotaged themselves. They sabotage their life because it's easier to fail because you're used to it.
Yeah.
So you fall right back into it. I'll pick myself back up again. But right now, I'm on the heroin again for a little bit.
Yeah. That is the cool thing about, well, yeah. I mean, failure is not an option once you have a kid.
No.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah, you have to figure it out. Also, you want the world to be a safer place because you have very vulnerable little people.
Yeah, you relate. You just become like a real human being. It's interesting when I hear people that don't have kids kind of complain about the world, and I'm like, oh, you actually don't really understand how high the stakes get.
Right.
Like the way that I relate to every bit of stimulus has completely changed. It's heightened and reduced.
Yeah.
The little frivolous shit, I do not give a flying fuck about.
Yeah.
Like I really don't care. And then the big ticket things, I care deeply about. You know, how could they impact my kid? Like, it's very easy for people to, even with like the vaccine shit, it's very easy for people who don't have kids to tell you like, oh, just trust the doctors, whatever. The second you have a kid, it is probably the most terrifying thing you'll ever do in your entire life is injecting something into the most perfect thing you've ever created. And then every single day wondering and seeing if she's still smiling and seeing if she's still okay, like, and feeling responsible if anything negative happens.
Right.
And then if you don't do it, feeling responsible if she got fucking the measles or mumps or whatever the fuck it is. I have so much more empathy. And it's something that people just can't understand because they're not put in that position.
Right.
And every new parent that I talk to is concerned about this shit. Every single one. So it's like, you have to have a little empathy. Like, you've created the most perfect thing you've could ever imagine. Like, nothing comes as close to that. And every decision you make could greatly impact that person's life. So, yeah, we're going to be scared if we watch a fucking video on the internet that says this thing is bad for them.
Right.
And don't call us some fucking quacks. Just call us like parents who care for our fucking kids.
Well, there's a lot of people that want to cover up for their own actions, like what they've done. Well, the people that want to say that, like, all this is exaggerated. There are no vaccine injuries. This could have happened to my child. It probably was going to happen anyway. It was going to happen anyway. Yeah. And you want to really believe that, too.
Of course you do, because you don't want to feel like it's your responsibility.
Also, you don't want to believe that pharmaceutical drug companies are willing to sell you things that are going to harm your child, and they are. They are. They always have been. They always will be. They're publicly traded companies, have a responsibility to their shareholders to make as much money as possible. And the money people are going to push a bunch of shit through that probably shouldn't go through. And they'll tell you need it, like when they were vaccinating kids with COVID. There was no reason to do that. Yeah. They knew there was no reason to do that, but they wanted everybody to take it because that's where the money is. And that's a scary thought, that we live in a world that there's people out there that would literally sacrifice the health of children for profit. But ultimately, that's what they do. That's a thing that's been done. It will continue to be done unless something happens.
Who are the people that do that? Why are they not named?
Look at the Sackler family. Look at those people.
So it's like, we know one name. We know the Sacklers. And we don't even know their first name. Well, you might, but like the average person doesn't. Like, I think that it'd be a lot different if these people's names were public record.
It would be a lot different if they went to jail. That's the thing. They just get fined.
They'll get Mangioni'd.
Yeah.
That would happen.
Right.
That would happen immediately.
That's a new thing. That's a verb.
They're gonna get that Luigi treatment immediately. It will be that way. People don't fuck around with their kids, man. It's a different.
Luigi was wearing loafers with his ankle handcuffs, and he was in a trial, and he looked so beautiful.
He's a handsome guy.
My wife and my daughters were like, he's adorable.
See?
Like, look at him here. He's so beautiful.
Yep.
He's so handsome.
He's a handsome
like a
guy.
supermodel.
Yeah. I think he did porn, or maybe that was just a headline that I saw. But whatever. But
Isn't it crazy, though, that the assassin is a good-looking guy and becomes a hero? Like, if he was an ugly fat guy with a MAGA hat on, everybody would want him dead.
Yo,
look at him. Look at him.
Wow, look at those brows.
Beautiful. Well, he's wearing a bulletproof vest, too. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
But he's got, like, a mental health problem.
Yeah.
Apparently. And someone said that he took acid and cracked.
Yeah.
I heard that. But
that happens.
who knows how much of that. Well, we'll find out when the trial happens what the lore is. But, you know.
A broken clock is right 2 times a day, though.
It was real weird when people were like, yeah, more of that, please.
To me, that's just desperation, and you get to see it manifested. It's like, if you're like a really, 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 really rich person with power, you want to make sure the poorest people have enough to survive.
The second they don't feel like they have hope and they don't feel like they have enough to survive, they start storming your estate.
Well, especially when you talk about healthcare, because there's people whose job is to deny people healthcare that deserve it.
That's how
How they save money, that's crazy to think of. But what is the alternative? Socialized medicine? The problem with that is it doesn't incentivize doctors to be the best. I want my doctor to drive a fucking Porsche.
Yeah.
I want my doctor to have a 911 turbo and a nice watch.
No, you're right, because you want the smartest people to be the doctors. You don't want them running hedge funds.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of probably really smart people running hedge funds. I don't want them doing that shit.
Right.
Like, I want them fixing diseases.
Right.
And if there's not enough money in it, they're going to go to the hedge fund shit, which is meaningless.
Yeah.
So it's like, it is a tricky problem. How do you create a system that incentivizes the most brilliant people to be in positions where they help us all? But how do you make sure that the nefarious actors are not finding ways to squeeze probably the most vulnerable?
How do we eliminate nefarious actors from the world, or do we ever?
You can't.
You can't.
They're there, and they will pop into these positions.
And I think they're there also to help you appreciate non-nefarious people.
Yeah, like we wouldn't know good.
Right.
Unless there is bad.
Yeah, that's real.
That's a good perspective to have on bad.
That's the good and evil struggle forever. That's the yin and the yang. That's it all. It's like that's how the world moves forward. That's how it advances. It protects itself against evil. And then evil tries to find ways through the fucking cracks. And you develop better antivirus software.
It's a simulation.
A little bit, man. It might be. It's gonna be, so maybe it already is. And maybe it always was. Maybe it always was.
And if it's a simulation once, it can be a simulation twice.
Yeah.
So if we can create the simulation and we were created as a simulation, that means that we could be like the 20th version of it.
And we're probably about to create a way better one with AI. Yeah. That's probably what AI is. AI is probably the god of the simulation. We probably lock that motherfucker in, turn it on, then it figures out how to do everything.
Do you have any concern about AI?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon said there's a 20% chance everything goes sideways, but an 80% chance it's an overall net good for humanity. But 20% chance, like, we're fucked.
That's a high number.
That's not a good number.
That's a high
I don't like
number.
that if I'm playing Russian roulette and I got 10 chambers and I spin that bitch. I don't like there's 2 bullets in there.
Yeah.
I don't like that. That makes me nervous. But I also think you've got a lot of like really good, smart people trying to make sure that at the very least the people here invent it before the people in China, which I think is probably important. Like whoever launches the god first is going to be in charge of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to get fucking very strange, Andrew Schulz. It's already very strange, but it's going to get even stranger.
We'll be here to enjoy it.
Yes, sir.
We'll be make fun of it.
My brother, it's always a good time to sit with you.
I love you, dog.
I love you to death. You're the best.
You are.
Tell everybody what's going on.
Oh, Life is on Netflix right now. So
right
go
now.
check it out, man. And yeah, go check it out. Also go check out Derek
There it
Poston's
is. Look at that stash, son.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think we're today we're number 2. You know, maybe after this we beat Kate Hudson. And we get Kate Hudson got me, man.
What day does Derek's come out? April 19th?
April, I think 16th.
16th.
Yeah. So make sure you check that out.
I gotta get him in here.
Oh yeah, he's just the fuck, bro. He was killing us last night. He said that the greatest art ever created is Harry Potter, and we go like better than. He goes yes. If it's the most consumed, it's the best. And we're like, what about the Bible? He goes, ain't nobody read that shit. he goes, ain't nobody read that shit. He goes, you might have read like part of it, but you didn't read the whole Bible. He goes, nobody's stopping at book 3. For Harry Potter. Bro, he was cooking last night. But yo, go check out his Don't Tell comedy.
He's very funny and a great person.
Absolutely.
All right. I love you, brother.
Love you, dog. Peace.
Bye, everybody.